Chapter 3489. And there was a hint of mockery in his laughter. Ning Shu casually threw the melon seed shell on the table. Do whatever you want. I'm just here to watch the show. 20 million merit points. Why don't you go rob someone? Looking at the Cheongsam man's expression, even if he took it out, it would probably cost him a lot. After all, the living environment was not very good now. Without taxes, the restaurant's business was just SOSO. Even if the Cheongsam man's family had mines, 20 million merit points was not a small amount. This is the sex rule, Brother Zhang said. Ning Shu casually played with his fingers and looked at his slender hands. They were so beautiful. He was mesmerized by himself. Rules, the sex rules. No matter what the rules are, you guys have the final say. Does the organization know that you guys are so greedy? Is it really okay to wantonly exploit ordinary mission enforcers? If the organization was compared to a court, then these factions were probably the ministers of the court. Everyone depended on the organization for survival. Now that the sect was doing this, it was undoubtedly digging meat out of the organization. Brother Zhang sneered. This is using the organization to oppress people. Ning Shu nodded. Yes, using the organization to oppress people. You guys use the sect to oppress people, so we use the organization to oppress people. Who didn't know how to play the flag? The Cheongsam man immediately grabbed Ning Shu's arm and leaned his head on Ning Shu's shoulder. He said pitifully, "Dear, you have to help me." Ning Shu was speechless. Fuck, so disgusting. What the hell was this? It was so disgusting and embarrassing in front of so many people. Looking at the two of them, Brother Zhang and Vanity looked disgusted. Su Rong sneered. No wonder he's so stubborn. He has someone to rely on. Ning Shu shook his head. I'm not trying to help him. I'm just shouting when I see injustice. Brother Zhang could not understand what Ning Shu meant. He only said, "This is our sect's family matter. We're family matters. Why are you, an outsider, interfering?" Ning Shu sighed. I know this is your family matter, but I'm a very warm-hearted person. I feel uncomfortable if I don't do something. Brother Zhang. Su Rong. If you're so warm-hearted, why don't you help the old granny cross the road? Su Rong still wanted to say something, but Brother Zhang raised his hand to stop Su Rong. Su Rong almost choked to death and swallowed the words he wanted to say. The feeling of swallowing back the vomit was extremely disgusting and uncomfortable. Brother Zhang glanced at Ning Shu and looked at the man in the Cheongsam who was leaning on Ning Shu. He was as disgusting as a weak woman. Brother Zhang said, "That's the rule of the faction. 5 million merit points." Ning Shu raised her eyebrows. The price dropped from 20 million to 5 million. Even if it was 5 million, he would still be able to earn it. The Cheongsam man's expression changed unpredictably as his thoughts fluctuated. In the end, he sneered silently, tidied up his clothes, and cupped his hands at Brother Zhang. Thank you for the faction's care during this period. I'm willing to give you 5 million. Just treat it as buying a lesson. If it was any less, this matter would probably be over. The Cheongsam man took out his ID card and hesitated for a moment. In the end, he reluctantly paid 5 million merit points. Brother Zhang received the money and said to the Cheongsam man, "You're on your own." Brother Zhang turned and left. Su Rong looked at the Cheongsam man with a complicated expression. Then, he looked at Ning Shu who was eating melon seeds and looked a little confused. He probably didn't understand why Brother Zhang had compromised. Su Rong was a little afraid, but he wouldn't let it go just like that. He would feel uncomfortable if he didn't get back at them. After the two of them left, Ning Shu said to the Cheongsam man, "I helped you save so much money. You have to treat me." The Cheongsam man was still distressed about the 5 million. He couldn't give 20 million. However, if Ning Shu hadn't said a few more words, the situation would have been in a stalemate. Things had turned out like this. He had already offended Su Rong, but he still stayed in the faction. It was really annoying and embarrassing. The Cheongsam man nodded. Okay, you can eat whatever you want in the restaurant in the future. I'll treat you. A few dishes didn't cost much. The Cheongsam man touched his chin and looked at Ning Shu up and down. What's going on? Ning Shu spread his hands. How would I know? He probably knows that you can't give him 20 million, so he's being merciful and asked you to give him 5 million. This stalemate is embarrassing for both of us. The Cheongsam man rolled his eyes. He was lying to a fool. It was obvious that Brother Zhang was afraid of her and wouldn't give in. The Cheongsam man said, "Did you do something behind my back?" Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "What do you mean by that tone?" It was as if he was questioning a lover who had cheated on him. The Cheongsam man said, "I'm just curious. Why is he afraid of you?" Ning Shu thought for a while. "Probably because I won't die. It's annoying to provoke a person who needs a lot of effort to kill." He was like a cockroach that couldn't be killed. It was tiring to beat him, but it was disgusting to not beat him. The most important thing was that once he provoked him, he would come over to disgust him. That was the most disgusting thing. The Cheongsam man said, "Are you serious? Why does it sound so mysterious?" Ning Shu was depressed. Why didn't anyone believe her when she was telling the truth, but when she was talking nonsense, someone would believe her? The Cheongsam man had some thoughts in his mind, but he didn't think too much about it. Everyone had their secrets. He held Ning Shu's hand and said sincerely, "Thank you." Ning Shu pulled her hand out. This guy was definitely taking advantage of her. The Cheongsam man held Ning Shu's hand tightly. When Ning Shu tried to pull her hand out for the first time, she didn't manage to do so. She only pulled her hand out for the second time. Ning Shu wiped her hand and felt that the Cheongsam man was really greasy. "Don't touch me. It's filled with the smell of cosmetics." He had touched so many women's hands that he had calluses. The Cheongsam man said, "I'm just thanking you. Why are you so sensitive? Is it because I'm holding your hand? You're shy." Ning Shu rolled her eyes. "Hurry up. Men and women shouldn't touch each other. Don't take advantage of me. Be a gentleman. Treat me with the same attitude you treat other women. Be careful or I'll destroy you." Ning Shu smiled slightly, which made the Cheongsam man shiver. The Cheongsam man said, "I'm just joking. Don't be so serious. What do you want to eat? It's my treat. Do you want to look for treasures? I'm really poor now." 5 million would be gone in one go. Ning Shu shook her head. "No need. I'm going to do a mission." The Cheongsam man looked at her strangely. "Why do you like to do missions so much?" Ning Shu was speechless. "Because my soul power is weak. Maybe after a while, the skeletons will collect more soul power. After all, I've connected 5 more worlds. There might be more souls that have lost their intelligence. In fact, such weak souls without intelligence might not even be able to enter the world of reincarnation. They would just dissipate in the world of living." Chapter 3490. The man in the Cheongsam lost 5 million yuan, but he was now alone, which was something worth celebrating. Seeing the man in the Cheongsam relax, Ning Shu couldn't help but remind him, "Su Rong will definitely come to make trouble for you. It's not over yet." Su Rong would definitely be punished by the faction for what he had done, and the man in the Cheongsam would definitely be blamed for it. The man in the Cheongsam didn't care very much. "I'll deal with it when the time comes. If he really wants to make trouble, I'll accompany him." Now that he was no longer in the faction, he wasn't afraid of him. Ning Shu shook his head and said, "You're alone now, but he has the faction behind him. This time, you've embarrassed the faction. Do you think the people in the faction will help you instead of their own?" The man in the Cheongsam leaving the faction seemed to be a harmful thing, but he did it. Sometimes, people didn't care about the benefits. They just wanted to do what they wanted to do. The man in the Cheongsam narrowed his foxy eyes and said to Ning Shu, "When the time comes, I'll use your name to intimidate others." Ning Shu said, "Get lost." Her name might not be useful. The people in the faction had backed off. They probably thought that she was the kind of person who couldn't be bothered to deal with. However, if the other party was serious and determined to fight with her, Ning Shu felt that it would be very troublesome. Backing off this time didn't mean that he would back off next time. Ning Shu said, "You'd better avoid it. When you're not strong enough, don't be a coward." He had to know when to relax. Even if he wanted to be tough, he had to have a purpose. He couldn't be tough for nothing. The man in the Cheongsam nodded. "I know. In the future, I'll try to do more tasks and find more treasures." I won't wander around. The man in the cheongsam also knew that he had offended the faction. Maybe they would find something wrong and take revenge. The man in the cheongsam frowned. He felt that this restaurant might be in danger. The man in the cheongsam stole a glance at Ning Shu. Ning Shu looked at him sideways. He wanted to see what the man in the cheongsam was up to. You're too much. Sorry, I don't know you. From now on, you and I will be strangers, but we will not let each other down in this life. Ning Shu's mind was filled with all sorts of drama. The man in the cheongsam, Ning Shu, asked, Are you interested in investing? Ning Shu asked casually, What shares? Ning Shu didn't care so much about merit points now. After all, he had received a huge amount of merit points from dealing with the star rocks and the world of reincarnation that was connected to the world of reincarnation. Since he was rich, he did not need to split his money in half. Now, he desired soul energy even more. Join my restaurant. Join my restaurant, and I'll give you a portion of my shares. That way, you'll be able to take money from the restaurant. The cheongsam man seduced Ning Shu. His long and narrow fox eyes stared at Ning Shu. His eyes were shining with a watery luster. The reflected luster gave off a feeling of tenderness. Being stared at by the cheongsam man like this, it was as if you were the center of the world and he only had eyes for you. Such amorous peach blossom eyes were really seductive, especially for girls. Being stared at like this, their adrenaline would soar and their heartbeats would accelerate. It was the feeling of being moved. Ning Shu was speechless. Damn, the cheongsam man was really disgusting. Things were starting to become abnormal. Ning Shu was about to speak when the cheongsam man placed his slender finger on Ning Shu's lips, stopping Ning Shu from speaking. I don't want to hear any rejection. Ning Shu punched the cheongsam man's face. If you continue to be so eccentric, I'll beat you up. The cheongsam man covered his face. Being hit by Ning Shu was really painful. Obviously, she had used her strength. The cheongsam man was no longer flirtatious. He said to Ning Shu, Do you want to share? Ning Shu rolled his eyes. You're just up to no good. You want to drag me down with you. The cheongsam man was obviously afraid that he would lose his restaurant, so he gave her a portion of his shares. After taking the money, she had to do something. She had to take responsibility for this restaurant. It was good to be powerful. People were rushing to give her money. However, this made her think of Shu Bai. Back then, Shu Bai was also like this, but what happened in the end? Her friendship with the cheongsam man was as light as water. She didn't want to be involved too much. It wasn't good to have too much contact with him. When the time came, it would be even more messy. The cheongsam man said, Don't be so direct. Now, I need someone to help me. I don't think I know anyone, and only you can help me. What do you think? Ning Shu said, Do you know about Shu Bai? The cheongsam man was confused. Who's Shu Bai? The cheongsam man didn't know who Shu Bai was, but he didn't care about her. Don't worry, I'm all alone now. Although I don't know how strong you are now, since you can make Brother Zhang give in, you shouldn't be too bad. I won't treat you unfairly. The cheongsam man lowered his head and wanted to pull Ning Shu's sleeve. However, Ning Shu was wearing a tube top, so her arms and shoulders were exposed. Hence, he grabbed Ning Shu's pinky finger. Can you bear to see me turn into ashes and get schemed against? Ning Shu withdrew his hand and nodded. I can. The cheongsam man was speechless. Ning Shu was a little incredulous. What's wrong with you? The cheongsam man said, I have a request, so I'm lowering my attitude. Ning Shu said, You're really a sissy. Heart came in with a lunchbox. When she saw the two of them being lovey-dovey, she walked over and pushed the cheongsam man away. What are you doing? The cheongsam man looked at the man who suddenly appeared. Who are you? The cheongsam man rolled his eyes. Who are you? Ning Shu felt that these pigtrotters were really annoying. It was better to go and do the mission. Ning Shu was annoyed by her attitude. It was better to ignore her like before. Heart lifted the lunchbox in her hand. I'm bringing you food. Ning Shu said. I haven't digested what I ate before. Heart tilted her head. You haven't digested it? Ning Shu didn't want to talk. It was his first time eating such food and he wasn't used to it. It's okay if you haven't digested it. I've brought you new food. You can eat it whenever you want. Heart handed the lunchbox to Ning Shu. This time, it's delicious too. Ning Shu said, You'd better not give it to me. I can't eat it. In the past, Heart used its spiritual tentacles to entangle her and restrict her movements. Now, it was very attentive and clingy. In essence, it was still the same. It smells good. What's inside? The Cheongsam man could smell the fragrance through the lunchbox. It was very fragrant and made him salivate. Heart immediately hugged the lunchbox and looked at the Cheongsam man warily and unkindly. It's none of your business. The Cheongsam man. This child was really not cute. Heart handed the lunchbox to Ning Shu. This time, it's delicious too. I brought you fruit this time. Otherwise, it'll be too oily and uncomfortable. Ning Shu. To take it or not, that was the question. How did Heart evolve so quickly? Chapter 3491. The heart was now broken and her methods were different. It was different from before. The silver-haired man was still the best. The people he taught had all become better. The heart could now use a soft knife. She couldn't accept it, but it wouldn't be good if she didn't accept it. Ning Shu waved her hand and said, Keep it for yourself. I'm really not hungry. I haven't digested it yet. You don't have to send me food so often. Ning Shu still refused. The Cheongsam man was a little greedy. It was too fragrant. He said, I'll eat it if she doesn't want it. The heart didn't care about the Cheongsam man at all. Who is it? Why should I let you eat it? Ning Shu stood up and said, I'm going back. I'm going to do a mission. Don't go. The heart and the Cheongsam man shouted at the same time. Ning Shu turned around and looked at the two pig trotters. The heart said, You haven't taken the food box. The Cheongsam man said, You haven't invested yet. The Cheongsam man looked at Ning Shu sincerely. I really hope you can invest. The Cheongsam man was a little doubtful now. He couldn't even give out money now. No one wanted his money. Actually, this was the sorrow of not having power. However, the Cheongsam man didn't regret leaving the faction. He was really relaxed now. However, there were a lot of things to face after relaxing. Ning Shu nodded. Hey, I'll invest. If someone wanted to use her name, she would take the money. Ning Shu gave him a heads up. But let me say this first. My name might not be useful. The Cheongsam man said, It's okay. You can invest. As long as your name works. If you can't, think of other ways. There's nothing you can't do. The Cheongsam man had a good attitude. Ning Shu naturally didn't feel burdened. The heart's eyes scanned Ning Shu and the Cheongsam man back and forth. She stood between the two of them, preventing them from making eye contact and communicating. The heart handed the food box to Ning Shu. Take it. The food box is very special. It can be kept warm for a long time. It'll be fresh whenever you eat it. You can eat it when you're hungry. The heart's expression was very serious. You don't have to feel burdened. I gave it to you because I can't finish it. Just treat it as leftovers. Ning Shu was speechless. Leftovers? Ning Shu didn't want it anymore. Once she thought of the leftovers, she didn't want to eat it anymore. She was still holding on. XNXN looked at Ning Shu with resentment. Her eyes were really, really resentful. If Ning Shu didn't want it, she would definitely cry. This kind of soft knife was even harder to deal with than a hard knife. However, Ning Shu was a person who was amenable to soft tactics but not hard ones. If you wanted to fight hard, you would definitely fight hard. Ning Shu wouldn't be so stubborn if he was a little softer. However, Ning Shu still refused. Zhuang Zheng, don't send me food in the future. Cultivate properly with Sang Liang and don't wander around. XNXN looked up at Ning Shu. I'm already so strong. Why do I still need to cultivate? I turned into a human to enjoy the joys of being a human. Aren't you putting the cart before the horse by asking me to cultivate? Ning Shu thought, oh, not only did XNXN have a brain now, she could also talk. Ning Shu said, I'm asking you to cultivate so that you can enjoy the life of a human. Do you understand? XNXN said, I'm enjoying the life of a human now. I'm not neglecting my cultivation. Do I need to cultivate? Do I? XN really wanted to punch him. XN pouted and said with a wronged expression, "At the end of the day, you just don't want my things. I'm giving you food and I'm not asking you to return it. Why are you so against it?" XN had never heard of the saying, "If you take a gift, you have to be soft-hearted." XN wanted to taste love. It wanted to become a human and experience the 7 emotions and 6 desires. However, Ning Shu couldn't give him the result he wanted, so Ning Shu didn't want the heart to waste time on him. Ning Shu felt that his heart should find a girl, someone he liked, and experience the sweetness of love. Ning Shu felt that there was a seniority difference between him and the heart. Ning Shu kindly looked at his heart and said, "Good child, in the future, if you have anything to eat, keep it for yourself. I don't need you to always send food to people who want to send it." He was not happy with Ning Shu's attitude, treating him like a child. "It's my business to send you food. It has nothing to do with you. The person I want to send food to is you. I like this feeling. I miss you, so I send you food." His heart enjoyed this feeling. Ning Shu was speechless. That was what the heart could say. There is often a saying in love, "I like you, but it's none of your business." In this regard, Ning Shu just wanted to roll his eyes. The man in the Cheongsam waved his fan, clicked his tongue, and said to Ning Shu, "Deceiving an ignorant and innocent young man, you are so bad. Oh my God. Can't you see that I'm very distressed?" The heart placed the lunchbox on the table and left without saying anything. His attitude was, "I gave it to you so you can do whatever you want with it. It's up to you to eat it or throw it away." It could be seen that the heart was angry. Ning Shu now had the feeling of being entangled by her heart's spiritual tentacles. It was an uncomfortable feeling of being restrained. Ning Shu felt that she was a woman in her bones. She didn't like to be restrained, nor did she like other people bringing her trouble. Now that the heart was troubling her, her first reaction was that she didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. The man in the Cheongsam sniffed the food box like a dog and asked, "Are you going to eat it or not? If you're not going to eat it, you're going to give it to me." After becoming a soul, it was the first time that he wanted to eat like this. His appetite was aroused. The man in the Cheongsam was about to open the food box, but he was stopped by Ning Shu. "What are you doing? This is for me." The man in the Cheongsam was speechless. "Didn't you say that you don't want to eat it? Anyway, it's already here. It's a waste if you don't eat it. I don't know why that young man likes you. He probably doesn't know your nature. Poor young man's heart. You don't want to establish a close relationship with others. That child is destined to have no chance." The man in the Cheongsam's foxy eyes were like X-ray vision, and he saw through Ning Shu. Ning Shu waved his hand. "You say that you like to establish a close relationship with others." The man in the Cheongsam said indifferently, "Yes, I don't like to establish a close relationship with others. People like us don't entrust our hopes and lives to others. Expecting others to have a conscience, a sense of responsibility, and be good to you is not as good as being strong yourself. That young man, you'd better make it clear to him, so that he won't affect you and waste his time. People who are not the same type are destined to have no result. The most important thing is that you don't like him." The man in the Cheongsam fanned himself. "People like you should find someone like me. I'm mature, charming, and can see things clearly." Ning Shu rolled his eyes and chuckled. "I don't like greasy men who touch girls' hands for no reason." The man in the Cheongsam didn't look greasy, but his behavior was very greasy. He flirted everywhere. Although it was fake, he was very greasy. Chapter 3492. Ning Shu knew that the Cheongsam man was joking. He could say that to every girl. Coward. He only dared to flirt. But if the girl got serious, the Cheongsam man would run away immediately and despise him. Ning Shu wanted to mock the Cheongsam man, but he had an idea. Then, Ning Shu opened his hand and the world tree emerged from his palm. It was getting bigger and bigger. Soon it would burst through the restaurant. Ning Shu immediately put the world tree away. But his palm was itchy. It was obvious that the world tree wanted to come out. The Cheongsam man saw Ning Shu's world tree. It was lush, thick, and full of leaves. It had grown so big. Jealousy made me unrecognizable. Anyway, the Cheongsam man was very jealous. His world tree was weak. He didn't know if it could succeed in the future. It was just a seed that fell behind his world tree. Now, it had grown into a towering tree. What kind of fertilizer did he use? Did he use some hormones? Otherwise, how could there be such a big difference? Ning Shu was quite excited. The world tree had absorbed so many good things. The vitality in the void and the evolution power that Mo Ming had given him. Ning Shu said to the Cheongsam man, "I'm leaving." Now, the world tree seemed to want to break out of its cage. It wanted to rush out of her soul. Ning Shu couldn't suppress the growth power. It wanted to go into the void. The Cheongsam man waved his hand weakly. "Go. Don't let me see you." Why was there such a big difference between people? His world tree was obviously better than Ning Shu's. The Cheongsam man wanted to ask what Ning Shu had fed the world tree. But when he saw that Ning Shu had left in a hurry, he could only ask next time. The Cheongsam man opened his hand. The world tree that was weak and lifeless appeared in his palm. Looking at the strong tree, it was really infuriating. The Cheongsam man clenched his fist. He had to become stronger quickly. Then he would have more resources. Without a doubt, his world tree must have absorbed something good. It must have absorbed something that he didn't know about. That was why it grew so well. Then where did these things come from? They were all brought by great strength. The man in the Cheongsam glanced at the restaurant. He couldn't just stay in the restaurant for no reason. He had to seize the time to become stronger. Otherwise, it would be very awkward if someone else found out. To be honest, no man was willing to be weaker than a woman. Although people of their social class had already seen through gender, regardless of whether they were male or female, they were all the same. Women also did not need to give birth to children to serve their elders and husbands. However, a man's pride had already been branded into his instincts. He would not allow himself to be weaker than a woman. In order to be able to talk to Ning Shu in the future, he would flirt with her from time to time. He had to become stronger. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to interact with her in the future. After all, they weren't on the same level. Naturally, there would be less interaction between them. The man in the Cheongsam still valued Ning Shu as a friend. He had a bottom line and was quite interesting. Most importantly, he was quite generous. It was more comfortable to interact with such people. The Cheongsam man asked the shopkeeper to redo the accounts and planned to give 30% of the profits to Ning Shu. There was no other way. If he wanted to use her name, he had to give something in return. Even blood-related brothers had to settle accounts clearly. If he was just using her, she probably wouldn't interact with him in the future. That guy was very vengeful. Ning Shu flashed into the void. There was nothing in his way. Ning Shu opened his hand and the Tree of World immediately emerged from his palm. It grew rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. It grew faster and faster until it became a big tree that covered the sky. Ning Shu couldn't even be compared to a speck of dust under this tree. It was so big. This tree was full of vitality. The greenish-black trunk was filled with an ancient aura. This was really similar to the plains in the void that Ning Shu saw. The tree was still growing. It stretched out endlessly. The huge tree crown was densely packed with leaves. Each leaf was a world. There were so many leaves that it was impossible to count. If a world was formed, Ning Shu suspected that his world of reincarnation wouldn't be enough. However, it wasn't so easy to form a world. Now, only the Tree of World was growing. Even if a world was formed, it would take some time to develop living beings. It needed time. After all, the world of reincarnation also needed time. It would take time to form a complete world of reincarnation. This was just right. Ning Shu wasn't in a hurry at all. Ning Shu entered a leaf casually. There was a narrow space inside the leaf. There was chaos inside. There was nothing. It had formed a small space. As time passed, the space would get bigger and bigger. Then, it would form a world full of vitality. Ning Shu exited the leaf. Suddenly, he felt a light flash in front of him. Then there was a crunching sound. It was like the sound of a silkworm gnawing on mulberry leaves. Ning Shu felt the Tree of World tremble slightly. It seemed to be in pain. Ning Shu immediately put away the Tree of World. The tree of world that covered the skies slowly shrank. It became a small tree. It was just that its appearance had shrunk. The thing that was gnawing on the leaf was also revealed. It was a silver furry thing. It looked a little familiar. Who was it? Its claws were still holding onto a leaf. When it saw Ning Shu staring at it, it hurriedly stuffed the leaf into its mouth, chewing it bit by bit and swallowing it down with a gulp. Ning Shu was so distressed that he couldn't breathe. It wasn't eating ordinary leaves. It was eating the space. Losing a leaf was as distressing as losing a strand of hair on Ning Shu's head. Ning Shu laughed. I was wondering who it was. Where's your million-strong army? The little mouse rubbed its stomach with its short claws and said to Ning Shu, eat some more of your leaves. Ning Shu said, no. It was eating the space. Although there were many leaves, each leaf could become a world of living beings in the future. Ning Shu just wanted to beat the shit out of the mouse. Why you here? Why aren't you with Li Wen? Ning Shu asked the little mouse. The little mouse was now very small. It was only the size of a fist. It didn't even have a human body now. The little mouse was now alone. Its subordinates and races had probably been wiped out by the organization. Li Wen, you saw Li Wen. I've been wandering around. Why didn't I see him? Is he still alive? Ning Shu said. Li Wen actually didn't meet the little mouse. Could it be that Li Wen was deliberately avoiding the little mouse? The little mouse was now hungry and thirsty for the world tree. It usually only ate energy bodies, but now it was so hungry. Ning Shu said, I saw Li Wen. It's a pity that you didn't meet him. The little mouse suddenly jumped. Then why didn't he come to me? Ning Shu was speechless. Your army is gone, and you're still thinking about Li Wen. If Ning Shu was right, Li Wen was doing it on purpose. Even if he wasn't doing it on purpose, he was still watching coldly. Chapter 3493. Now that Li Wen was nowhere to be found, the little mouse was still wandering around. It was also very persistent. He didn't know if Li Wen knew that the little mouse was about to turn into a stone, but Li Wen was really a stone. Her heart was like a stone. The little mouse looked strong, but it was actually very simple. Ning Shu sometimes didn't know what Li Wen was thinking. He said to the little mouse with some pity, after the battle, Li Wen came to find me. When the little mouse heard this, all the fur on its body stood up. Find you? Why didn't you see me? God knew why. If he could know what Li Wen was thinking, he would become Li Wen. After being an emperor for a long time, he would never let others know what he was thinking. Ah, Li Wen. The little mouse wailed. Its voice was quite aggrieved. Ning Shu couldn't sympathize with a furry thing wailing. It wasn't worthy of sympathy at all. Although it was sad, its image really made people unable to sympathize with it. The little mouse was still very cute when it didn't turn into a human. Cute things were still very cute even if they were heartbroken. Ning Shu looked at the little mouse with a doting gaze as if he was looking at an idiot. The little mouse wailed for a while, touched its stomach and said to Ning Shu, give me some leaves to eat. I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten in a long time. Ning Shu shook his head. No, bear with it. The long whiskers on the little mouse's mouth trembled. Tears flowed out of its black bean-like eyes. Ning Shu was speechless. Damn, what's wrong with this mouse? Why did it become so fragile? It cried when it wanted to. It didn't have the burden of an idol at all. Now that there were no subordinates or races around it, it was completely open. It wanted to cry. Ning Shu looked at the little mouse with a heart of stone. The little mouse cried for a while. It touched its eyes with its paws and said to Ning Shu, I want to follow you and meet Li Wen. Ning Shu shook his head. No, I don't want to bring you along. Little mouse stared at Ning Shu. I'm alone now. I don't have the ability to invade the plane. I can't do anything. Ning Shu chuckled. You're looking for a meal ticket, aren't you? Let me tell you, I won't let you eat my leaves. Now the little mouse was thin from hunger. It must have followed her because it saw that she had a lot of leaves, so it wouldn't starve. Usually, the little mouse would be nice to her, but now he wanted her to take him in. Dream on. Ning Shu was not good at helping people when they were down. He was only good at hitting people when they were down. Not only was he good at hitting people when they were down, he also had to cover the well. The little mouse looked at Ning Shu accusingly. In the past, I gave you energy bodies and so many good things. Now that I want you to take me in, you're not even willing to give me some space to eat. Ning Shu, give me some space. Damn, these words were said so easily, so lightly. It was not a matter of giving him a few peanuts. The little mouse said aggrievedly, that's fine. I can eat plain fragments too. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. I still have to pick up fragments for you to eat and raise you. Why should I raise you? If the organization knows that I'm raising you, they will eat me. The little mouse shook his head. They won't. I'm no threat to your world now. Those people can't be bothered to care about me. And I won't invade and devour these plains now. I'll eat some plain fragments to make a living. Ning Shu chuckled. Then tell me, why should I take care of you? Why should I look for plain fragments for you? Actually, finding plain fragments was very simple. Every time she went to deal with the star stones, she would pick up some on the way. But Ning Shu was not happy with Little Mouse's attitude. It was his honor to let her raise him. She was not Little Mouse's parents. How could she take it for granted? Am I going to invite an ancestor home? She did not serve him. Even Li Wen could give up Little Mouse. What responsibility did she have for Little Mouse? Ning Shu put his hands on his hips and did not give Little Mouse a good look. Little Mouse puffed up his cheeks. Then I'll help you find treasures in the future. I have a racial talent. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. You can think about it. What's there to think about? Who knows how many good treasures there are in the Void Land? I'm all alone now. Otherwise, Ning Shu heard it. Otherwise, he would not be with you. Little Mouse still could not see the situation clearly. Now it was like a dragon in the shallows, a tiger in the plains. Little Mouse was a little impatient. Have you thought about it? Ning Shu said slowly, not yet. This is a big matter. I have to think about it carefully. Little Mouse's whiskers trembled like a hamster. What's there to think about? You're taking advantage of me. Ning Shu said, then I refuse. I don't like to take advantage of others. It's really unfair for you to follow me. You're my brother's friend. I can't bear to let you suffer like this. I feel bad. Little Mouse was speechless. I'm so angry. Can you not be so pretentious and sarcastic? All right, I'm taking advantage of you. I'll follow you. I'll accompany you to the Void Land when I'm free. Little Mouse did not expect the other party to take advantage of him verbally. He could only give in. Ning Shu nodded. All right, you follow me and wait for Li Wen. Tell me, did you do something that made Li Wen uncomfortable? So, Little Mouse's eyes were confused. He was very retarded. I didn't do anything. I don't know. Li Wen won't tell me. What do I know? Ning Shu felt that Li Wen wanted to vomit blood in front of Little Mouse. Li Wen was the emperor. His words were a few turns. Little Mouse was the kind of person who was straightforward. He would not understand if he did not explain. Little Mouse said to Ning Shu, I'm hungry. I want to eat. Ning Shu exchanged for a hamster cage. There were some wood shavings inside. This is your nest. Little Mouse was speechless. Why was he squatting in the cage? Ning Shu opened the cage. Go in. If you have nothing to do, you can walk around in the cage to exercise. Little Mouse shook his head. I don't want to. I don't want to stay in there. I won't run around. You don't have to lock me up. Little Mouse jumped onto Ning Shu's shoulder. The cage is useless. Ning Shu threw the cage away. Up to you. I want to eat now. I'm very hungry. How long had he been hungry? Ning Shu returned to the system space and said to Little Mouse, if you have nothing to do, stay here. Don't bite the things in here. If you break anything, I'll pull out one of your teeth. Little Mouse snorted twice and jumped down from Ning Shu's shoulder. He jumped onto the sofa and lay down comfortably. I want to eat now. I'm hungry. The little mouse, who had once commanded thousands of troops, was now so hungry that people could not help but want to gloat. Ning Shu said, wait, I'll deal with the star stone. Since mice gnawed on plains, eating plains and fragments could fill their stomachs. /BK Chapter 3494. If you want a horse to run, you have to feed it grass. Since you want Little Mouse to help you find treasures, you have to feed Little Mouse until it is full. Little Mouse wanted to find a meal ticket and wait for Li Wen. After all, Li Wen came to find her. If she waited for her, Little Mouse might be able to find Li Wen. Ning Shu couldn't figure out why Little Rat was so persistent and insisted on waiting for Li Wen. Maybe Li Wen was living a good life by herself, or maybe she was living a better life in another group. She was simple-minded and one-track minded. Ning Shu looked at Little Mouse who was lying on the sofa and asked, "Where are your subordinates?" Little Mouse's black bean-like eyes were filled with tears. "Devil, you are all devils. You killed them all." Ning Shu. Little Mouse was completely free now. If she wanted to cry, she would cry out loud. Her tears were like a faucet, pouring down as soon as it was turned on. They were all dead, killed so cleanly. "Why are you still alive?" Little Mouse's tears flowed down. They sacrificed themselves. Ning Shu thought of the self-destructing bugs on the battlefield. One by one, they self-destructed without fear. "When did you find food? I am so hungry." Little Rat, who was still immersed in sadness, immediately changed the topic. He wanted to eat. Although his eyes were still watery, his tears were no longer falling down. He could come and go as he pleased, retracting and releasing as he pleased. Ning Shu warned, "Don't touch the things inside. Don't bite blindly. If you break it, pack up and leave." Little Mouse said, I know. I won't touch it. I don't care about these things." Ning Shu said to Dan Qing, "I am going to deal with the Star Stone. See if the main system can arrange it. Earn money and get some fragments back for Little Mouse." After a while, Dan Qing replied, "It is not time yet. It is not time to change shifts, so you have to wait for a while." When she didn't want to deal with it, she felt like she was constantly being urged, but when she wanted to deal with it, she didn't have the chance. Ning Shu said, "Then I won't deal with the Star Stones and will pick up the fragments. There should be a quota for picking up fragments, right?" Dan Qing said, "That's true. There's no limit to picking up fragments." Before Ning Shu left, he repeatedly warned the Little Mouse, "If you touch my things, I'll starve you to death." There were a lot of things in her system space that the Little Mouse didn't like, but it didn't mean that he wouldn't break them like toys. She would definitely beat him to death. Even if she couldn't kill him, she would throw him out and let others kill him. Little Mouse nodded obediently. Don't worry. I won't touch your things." That, Ning Shu said, "If you have something to say, just say it." Seeing Little Rat's hesitant look, Ning Shu knew that if Little Rat said something outrageous, she would definitely not agree to it. "You're just a dead rat with nothing. Why are you asking for so much? When will Li Wen come?" Ning Shu said, "I don't know. I can't find him. He always comes to find me. I don't know where Li Wen is now. Just wait. If fate allows, you will meet him." Ning Shu couldn't help but say, "Li Wen is your friend, but he's not your everything. You should have other goals in life." Life around one person was monotonous and hopeless. Li Wen was definitely not a very sincere and warm person. On the contrary, he was very indifferent and cold. He always had the dignity and forbearance of an emperor. How could such a person open up his heart to others? Little Mouse was definitely a simple-minded creature. His IQ might not even be at a normal level. If he met Li Wen, he would definitely be under Li Wen's control. Little Mouse's bright black eyes stared at Ning Shu. "Are you trying to sow discord between Li Wen and me? Devil, you're a devil." Ning Shu. Ning Shu really wanted to slap herself. Why did she waste her saliva for saying such things? Moreover, Little Mouse didn't understand her intentions at all. Instead, he said that he was trying to sow discord between them. Ning Shu rolled her eyes. What good would it do her to sow discord between the two of them? Forget it. It was very lucky for a person to have a goal and expectation to chase after. Mice were the same. Since Little Mouse placed his goal, happiness, and expectation on Li Wen, then he would chase after it. He didn't say anything else. Little Mouse could do whatever he wanted. He couldn't be bothered. Ning Shu came to the place where the plane was broken. He took the bag and started to pick up the fragments. Picking up the fragments was very easy for Ning Shu. He used the vines to pick them up very quickly. Picking up 100,000 would complete the goal. However, this time, he definitely didn't just want to pick up 100,000. He picked up 200,000 and handed half to Little Mouse. He didn't know how much Little Mouse could eat. Although Little Mouse was only the size of a fist, its appetite might not be small. The person who dealt with the star stones was Granduncle. He didn't know if it was because Zheng Qing had died. Granduncle looked a little depressed. He was full of cold aura and was silent. Granduncle was feeling guilty and sad. Ning Shu always felt that Zheng Qing hadn't died yet. What was there to be sad about? However, Zheng Qing should have nothing to do with Granduncle after his rebirth. After picking up the fragments, Ning Shu handed in the 100,000 mission and took it back. Ning Shu threw the bag to Little Mouse. I found some fragments. You can eat them. Little Mouse went directly into the bag. Then, there was the sound of crunching chips coming from the bag. It ate the fragments like eating biscuits. Its teeth were really good. With Ning Shu's current strength, he couldn't crush the plain fragments. However, Little Mouse ate them directly. Racial advantage. It really made people jealous beyond recognition. Little Mouse must have been hungry for a long time. It actually ate all the 100,000 fragments. The fist-sized Little Mouse's stomach only bulged slightly and looked rounder. Little Mouse lay on the sofa and burped while rubbing its stomach. Although it's junk food, it's filling. Ning Shu grabbed Little Mouse and turned it over to check. Where did all the fragments go? How big was Little Mouse's stomach? What are you doing? I'm going to vomit. Little Mouse couldn't stand being kneaded by Ning Shu over and over again. How long have you not eaten? You just wandered around the plane and didn't eat any fragments. There were so many broken planes. It wasn't difficult to eat some fragments. Why did you make yourself so embarrassed? In any case, you were the ruler of an entire race, yet you ended up in such a state. How could you face the people you had lost? Little Mouse said gloomily, I can't go near them in my current situation. If I go near them, I'll die. I still have to live to wait for Li Wen. And there are so many people patrolling around the plane. Chapter 3495. With the Soul Army patrolling, he didn't dare to get too close. Otherwise, he would be easily discovered. And Little Mouse didn't know if those people had discovered him or not. If he was discovered, he would definitely be eradicated. Moreover, the place where the plane was broken was guarded, so he couldn't eat. Little Mouse had to shed tears of sympathy for his bitter life. How good his food used to be was how bitter his life was now. For various reasons, Little Mouse could only starve. Ning Shu was speechless. What a stubborn heart, what a deep love. He really should let Li Wen see. However, Li Wen didn't let Little Mouse do this. Little Mouse wanted to do what Little Mouse wanted to do was his own choice. Blaming Li Wen was unfair to Li Wen. To a certain extent, I'm so good to you, but you still treat me like this. Blaming Li Wen like this was untenable. Li Wen didn't ask Little Mouse to do this. Little Mouse Ning Shu asked, when can Li Wen come to you? He didn't know how many times he had asked this question. Ning Shu only said 3 words, I don't know. Ning Shu played with Little Mouse over and over again. After confirming that the Little Mouse had eaten all the fragments, he directly threw Little Mouse on the sofa. You eat so much. I can't afford to raise you. What kind of treasures are there in the void? If he couldn't find any treasures, Ning Shu couldn't guarantee that he would always raise Little Mouse. And Ning Shu didn't know if anyone had discovered that he had taken the fragments. It was most likely that he had been discovered. This kind of fragment was plain trash. Even if they knew, they probably wouldn't say anything. She was afraid that someone would know that she was raising a mouse. If Little Mouse was killed, then this race would probably really die. Little Mouse said, there are a lot of treasures and a lot of food. I'll believe you for now. Ning Shu had to do a mission to enrich his soul and explore the void again. He couldn't go far. Now that his soul was weak, it would be dangerous to go to the void. While Ning Shu was happily planning for the future, the chat system rang. Ning Shu opened the chat system and found that it was a message from Grand Elder. Fei Yong's words were concise and comprehensive. He only said, bring it over. Ning Shu looked at the 3 words and then looked at the little mouse who was lying on the sofa with all 4s. Although Ning Shu knew in his heart that it was very likely that he had been discovered, he didn't want to be discovered so early. Ning Shu asked, "What are you carrying?" He pretended to be stupid first. It would be good if he could fool him, but if he couldn't, he would think about it. "Senior Grand Uncle, bring it over, Bug." All right, she had indeed been discovered. She must have been discovered because she had taken away some of the fragments. There was nothing she could do about it. Ning Shu asked, "Will you kill him?" If Ning Shu really wanted to kill her, she might as well ask the little mouse to scram. She did not need to stay in the system space. It was safer for her to stay in the void. "Senior Grand Uncle, why are you talking so much?" "Ning Shu, I've already let him go. I'm a kind-hearted person. When I see stray dogs and cats, I give them some food. I don't bring stray dogs and cats home." "Senior Grand Uncle, don't talk nonsense. Bring it over." Ning Shu punched the little mouse who was snoring after eating, directly waking the little mouse up. The little mouse bounced up like a ball and asked as if waking up from a dream, "What happened?" "Ning Shu, you've been discovered." The little mouse immediately slipped to the corner of the sofa and got under the pillow. "Don't tell them I'm here." "How stupid." Ning Shu took the pillow away and saw the little mouse holding its head and sticking its butt up. It was a big furry piggy. Ning Shu picked it up. "It's no use hiding. Just go and face them directly." "There's no use hiding." "I'm not going." "Go, I can definitely protect you." The organization could raise creatures in the void, so could she. The little mouse was taken away by Ning Shu. Although it tried to resist, Ning Shu grabbed the fur by the back of its neck, and it struggled in the air. Ning Shu came to the void. Senior Grand Uncle stood in the void, his whole body dark as if he was about to merge with the void. The corner of his black windbreaker was slightly blown by the wind, and it felt like he was riding the wind. The little mouse saw Senior Grand Uncle and struggled even more fiercely. Ning Shu put his hands behind his back, and the little mouse was blocked by Ning Shu's body. Senior Grand Uncle turned around. "Take it out." Ning Shu smiled slightly, took out the mouse, and threw it directly at Senior Grand Uncle. Senior Grand Uncle directly waved his hand and sent the flying object, the mouse, flying. The little mouse flew far away, and it was very painful. "Little mouse, meow, meow, meow." Ning Shu said to Senior Grand Uncle, "Now the little mouse is alone, and it's no threat to the organization. I'm kind and want to raise it." Senior Grand Uncle was probably disgusted by Ning Shu's words. "I don't have any expectations. If you want to raise it, then raise it well. If anything happens to it, it's all your responsibility. I'll put it all on you." Ning Shu nodded. "Understood, I'll definitely take good care of it. I've always been a responsible person. Don't worry." Senior Grand Uncle. The long silence made the atmosphere a little awkward. Ning Shu said, "If there's nothing else, I'll go back. By the way, he wants to eat some plain fragments. When I deal with the Star Stone in the future, I'll bring some fragments back." Ning Shu felt that the organization should know about the existence of the little mouse, but he didn't pay attention to it. She had taken the fragments before, and the cause and effect of this was clear at a glance. Moreover, she knew the little mouse. Ning Shu didn't panic at all after being discovered. He was confident in his heart. It was good that he was discovered by the organization. It would be good to register with the organization. Senior Grand Uncle didn't say anything. He just grunted in agreement. In fact, this was good for the master. Since Ning Shu needed the fragments, he had to help him pick them up. However, even if he picked them up, he wouldn't get any money. It was a win-win situation. The little mouse that had been slapped away crawled back and lay on Ning Shu's shoulder. Heido's eyes were full of resentment towards Senior Grand Uncle. Senior Grand Uncle actually smiled at the little mouse. This smile was a little scary. The corners of his mouth curled up evilly, and his glasses glowed with white light. The little mouse was so scared that it purred. Even Ning Shu was startled. Oh my God, Senior Grand Uncle was scary when he didn't smile, but when he smiled, he was even scarier. "Dear, do you know how scary your smile is?" Ning Shu grabbed the mouse on his shoulder and said to Senior Grand Uncle, If there's nothing else, I'll go back. Ning Shu believed that if the little mouse really made a mistake, it would definitely be slaughtered and stewed. He didn't know if the little mouse's meat would be delicious. Moreover, it would also implicate her. Ning Shu had a feeling that the little mouse was in his hands. Maybe the master wanted someone to look after the little mouse. Ning Shu was a little surprised that the organization didn't completely kill the little mouse. Even the entire race could be exterminated. It didn't make sense that they couldn't kill a lonely little mouse. Maybe they wanted to raise it. Chapter 3496. The organization must have kept the little mouse for a reason. The little mouse had always been wandering around the world. It would be strange if no one had discovered it. She appeared at this time and said that she wanted to raise the little mouse. In fact, it was not bad for the organization. Moreover, if anything happened to the little mouse, she would take full responsibility. How did the little mouse become her responsibility? Ning Shu came back to his senses. Why did he feel that he had suffered a loss? However, words that had been said could not be taken back. Damn it. Ning Shu felt as if he had been taken advantage of. Very taken advantage of. The grand uncle said, watch, okay. If you bring it around, you understand. Ning Shu. I don't really understand. Ning Shu decided to fight for some benefits for himself. He said, I'm watching it for the organization. Isn't there any benefit? The grand uncle stared at Ning Shu expressionlessly. How is it that the organization is watching it? Didn't you want to raise it? You want to raise a dog and a pet, and you want to give benefits to the organization that issued the pet certificate. Tell me, what's the reason for this? The little mouse gritted its teeth. I'm not a dog. I'm not a pet. However, its words were ignored. Ning Shu. The grand uncle's words seemed to make sense, but Ning Shu felt that something was wrong. It wasn't the case. Ning Shu shook his head. No, it's such a dangerous thing. I'm watching it for you. Even if it's humane care, there should be compensation. The grand uncle snorted. He was probably amused by the thick-skinned Ning Shu. The organization forced you to raise it, but the organization forced you to raise it. You're raising a dangerous thing. If you tie it up well, can you take responsibility if it hurts others? Ning Shu. Damn it. Can't I outtalk him? Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Even if they didn't give any compensation. She thought about how Jingqing had become her system back then. Thinking that Jingqing might even be with her now, Ning Shu felt unhappy. He couldn't wait to rush up and scratch Senior Uncle Hua's face directly. Ning Shu's fingers curled. Her hands were itchy, but she endured it. If she rushed over, there would definitely be a gun pointed at her head and let her eat the bullet. Ning Shu expressed that the taste was not good at all. Ning Shu grabbed the little mouse on his shoulder and buried himself in the little mouse's furry body. He began to whimper and pretend to cry. Why is my life so hard? Howsy, I don't have the money to support you. You'd better leave. Little mouse. This woman was really annoying. What was there to cry about? He was not a picky eater. He could just make do with the plain fragments. He did not ask her to create energy bodies. It was already very considerate. If he asked her for energy bodies, she could cry at that time. The grand uncle was indifferent to Ning Shu's wailing. He only said coldly, I haven't charged you for the plain fragments. Since that's the case, you'll have to pay for each fragment you take. 100,000 fragments will be 100,000 merit points. Ning Shu, burp. The wailing stopped abruptly. Ning Shu wiped his non-existent tears. It's okay. I can take care of it. Work hard to pick up the fragments. He had picked up the fragments and still had to pay. Wasn't it too much of a loss? He had to pay and put in effort. Ning Shu stopped crying. Otherwise, he would have to pay more when the time came. Senior Uncle Hua glanced at Ning Shu contemptuously, then turned and disappeared. That sneer echoed in Ning Shu's ears for a long time. Ning Shu snorted. What a waste of time. He didn't even get any benefits. Ning Shu blew his nose with the little mouse, then directly threw the little mouse away. The little mouse was so disgusted that it decided not to go back with her. Living with such a disgusting woman would stain its soul. The little mouse quietly crawled away and was brought back by Ning Shu. She muttered, "Really?" The little mouse wanted to curse and struggled with all four limbs. Ning Shu returned to the system space. He threw the little mouse on the sofa and rubbed his face. He was going to pick up the fragments and save some rations for the mouse. Then he was going to do the mission. He hoped the mouse could find some valuable treasure. Otherwise, he would directly dig out the mouse's food. If he couldn't dig it out, he would beat the shit out of it. The mouse now had no human rights. It was a poor little thing living under someone else's roof. When his soul was stronger, he would take the little mouse with him. Ning Shu went to the place where the plane was broken. He stretched out his vines and picked up a lot of fragments. When the vines spread out, they extended very long. It was very easy to pick up the fragments. Ning Shu hadn't picked up fragments for a long time. Now that he suddenly started to pick up fragments, and he picked up so many fragments, someone came to ask Ning Shu if he was going to do business again. They asked Ning Shu to pick up the fragments on his behalf. Ning Shu rejected them one by one. She was now someone who owned a mine. She didn't need to earn this little money. Picking up fragments was to save rations for the little mouse. However, these fragments also turned into a lot of merit. In fact, what the little mouse ate was also merit. There was another person who ate merit. It was just that he had some money now. If it was in the past, he would directly kick the little mouse away. If he couldn't afford to raise it, then scram. Ning Shu picked up most of the fragments. This caused the bosses who came to pick up fragments to extend the time needed to complete the mission. Seeing that Ning Shu had already picked up enough fragments, he was still picking them up desperately. Many people hinted at Ning Shu with their eyes. Once he had picked up enough, he would leave. He wasn't going to do business, so they didn't have any fragments to pick up. Just as Ning Shu was about to be cut into pieces by many people's eyes, she finally came to her senses and put away the vines. Ning Shu felt that this should be enough for the little mouse to eat for a long time. Hence, he walked away slowly under everyone's gaze. Ning Shu returned to the system space. He put a few pieces of fragments in the ring space on the bookshelf and said to the little mouse, "I found some fragments for you. Eat them sparingly. I picked them up with great difficulty." The little mouse lay on the sofa and said weakly, "Okay. Eat sparingly. Eat until you're half full every time." The little mouse's spiritual power came down. "It's so good. I can eat until I'm half full? Ning Shu, why are you so happy?" The little mouse said, "It's good enough that I can eat until I'm half full. I can only eat until I'm half full in hundreds of planes." Ning Shu, then there's no other way. You can't eat until you're half full because there aren't enough fragments. You just have to hang on to life. The little mouse's smile gradually disappeared. "I have to help you find things, but you don't even let me eat until I'm full. If I'm not full, how can I have the strength to find things? This is slavery. A cruel slavery. Ning Shu, then there's no other way. There aren't hundreds of planes enough for you to eat, so you won't starve to death. You just have to hang on to life." Ning Shu told Dan Qing that he was going to do a mission. He had been delayed for a long time. Dan Qing asked, "What kind of mission do you want to do? A caretaker mission or a normal mission?" Ning Shu, "A normal mission." It was a little difficult for her to do caretaker missions now. She would do a normal mission to fill up her soul first. Chapter 3497. Before leaving, Ning Shu was worried that Little Mouse would be bored, so he threw a stack of books to Little Mouse and said, "Since you don't have anything to do, you should study more and do some exercises." Little Mouse casually glanced at the words on the books. 3 years of college entrance exams, 5 years of mock exams. What the hell is this? Ning Shu said, "Do you know why Li Wen doesn't like to be with you?" Little Mouse immediately asked, "Why?" Ning Shu said, "Because you are stupid. Sometimes you can't even understand what I say. Our human language is particularly obscure and beautiful. Because of the different tone and weight of the words, the meaning of a sentence is different. The same words had different meanings. In short, the complexity of the words made Little Mouse confused. Especially since Li Wen was the emperor, he was even more unfathomable. After all, there was a phrase in the world called trying to figure out the emperor's will. Who knew how many turns Li Wen had to make when he spoke? Li Wen can't communicate with you. Do you think he likes to be with you? Li Wen could not change his habits. Although he was the emperor of the human world, he was still quite arrogant. Therefore, the run-in between him and Little Mouse was undoubtedly like a smart person being a fool. Most importantly, Li Wen was not willing to compromise. Little Mouse's black bean-sized eyes were a little confused. Li Wen is not such a person. He won't dislike me. Ning Shu nodded. Yes, he dotes on you and cares about you. Everyone was responsible for doting on a retard. Little Mouse did not understand the meaning of Ning Shu's words. He proudly held his head high and used his paws to open the book. He looked at the inexplicable things in the book. What are these? I don't want to do it. Do I need to do anything? No, I don't need it at all. This was the knowledge of low-level humans. Only low-level missions would allow one to learn these things. He did not need it at all. Ning Shu said, before Li Wen comes to you, you should enrich yourself. At least you can understand other people's words. This is the information I found for you. There's nothing wrong with studying more. Let your brain, which is as big as a mung bean, develop. By the way, think about the intention of the question maker before you answer the question. This was one of the few times Ning Shu had experienced school life, and the teacher often said this to him. Little Mouse felt dizzy after reading the contents of the book. He wants me dead. Ning Shu asked, didn't Li Wen teach you anything? Little Mouse nodded. Yes, he taught me how to read and write, but I didn't like it, so I was too lazy to learn. If I could do it all over again, I would be willing to learn from Li Wen. Ning Shu clicked his tongue and shook his head. Rotten wood really couldn't be carved. Who would be willing to play the lute to a cow all day long? Ning Shu left the system space to complete his mission. The little mouse yawned and kicked the book open. What the hell? I'm not going to learn it. It was said that humans were the most difficult to learn. Even if it was bored, it wouldn't learn these things. However, learning these things didn't make it smart. Li Wen liked it. Did Li Wen dislike it for being stupid, so she didn't want to play with it anymore? Little Mouse scratched its head with its claws and scratched a few strands of short gray hair. It hadn't even started to learn, but it was already bald. Now, Little Mouse was like an ordinary student, falling into the painful learning process. However, Little Mouse was relatively stupid. It couldn't find a question to solve even after flipping through the book. It hadn't learned these before, so how could it do it? Little Mouse kept scratching its head with its two claws. Dan Qing couldn't stand it anymore and asked, what do you not know? I can teach you. Who's talking? Come out. Dan Qing said, I'm Ning Shu's system. I can't appear. Tell me what you don't know. I'll teach you. Oh. Little Mouse thought for a while and said, you're one of her people. You can say that. Tell me what you don't know. Dan Qing suddenly regretted speaking. It was asking for trouble. Oh my God. Little Mouse suddenly became shy. I don't know anything. Dan Qing was speechless. As expected. His heart was tired. Little Mouse said, say it again. I don't understand. Dan Qing was speechless. Oh my God. This was completely turning a rock into a beautiful jade. If it wasn't jade, how could it be turned into a beautiful jade? Dan Qing really wanted to tear his mouth. Ning Shu merged into a body. Her body was very weak, and cold sweat broke out on her forehead. Beside her, a maid was serving her and wiping her face. Ning Shu quickly skimmed through the contents of this world. After understanding the content, Ning Shu's liver hurt a little. Now, her 3 sons were running away from home. The reason why they ran away was because they didn't want their brothers to fight over a girl. This girl was the bride of the Zhou family. The eldest son of the Zhou family, Zhou Buqing, was weak. When he was 7 years old, he found a bride. After that, his illness slowly recovered. The Zhou family treated this girl like a new daughter. As she grew up day by day, the 3 brothers of the Zhou family all fell in love with this girl. The 3 brothers pushed each other and all ran away from home. Then, Wanxing was also chased out by the Zhou family. She brought the maid back to her uncle's house. In the end, the maid was raped by her cousin and escaped with the maid. They sold trinkets for a living. The eldest son found Wanxing. In the end, Wanxin was with the eldest son. Of course, they went through a lot of hardships. Oh my God! Originally, Wanxin was the eldest son's bride, but when they went to fetch the bride, it was the second son and Madame Zhou who went to fetch the bride. In the process of growing up, they played around and were punished by the adults when they did something wrong. They were very happy. When they grew up, the three of them asked Wanxin who she loved. But no one could bear to hurt Wanxin. As a result, the problem became more and more complicated. She was shy in front of everyone. Even a knowledgeable person like Ning Shu couldn't figure out who this girl liked. During this period, the eldest son was engaged to a girl from a family friend. He found out that he loved Wanxin deeply and broke off the engagement. The canon Fodder was a girl. The current era was about the end of the Qing dynasty and the beginning of the Ming dynasty. The social atmosphere was still very conservative. Although there were foreign romances, a girl's engagement was broken off. It still had an impact on her reputation and reputation. As far as Ning Shu was concerned, even if the eldest son was engaged, Wanxin still had two choices. If she chose one, there wouldn't be so much trouble. She eloped with the second son and didn't run away. It was really worrying. The whole family was about to be ruined and the Zhou family was in a mess. In the end, she married the eldest son. Ning Shu deeply suspected that Wanxin was here for revenge, to take revenge on the Zhou family. Otherwise, the three brothers wouldn't have turned against each other. In the name of not having the heart to hurt anyone, she just didn't make a choice. Chapter 3498. Don't force me. She didn't refuse or choose and even said that doing this would make her feel at ease. She was pure, kind, pure and cute. Under the gaze of those icy eyes, very few people could remain unmoved. All kinds of love were gathered in one body. Ning Shu was speechless. He really didn't understand. This body was about to die of anger, and old Master Zhou fainted from anger at the slightest provocation. Now that the eldest son had broken off the engagement, the friendship between the two families had also ended. The Zhou family was a big family and had a fixed business network. Now that the friendship was gone, this business line was also over. How could they still be friends after humiliating someone else's daughter like this? Not to mention being friends, they were almost like enemies. Now that the old man was still unconscious, Ning Shu's head was also hurting. The eldest son, Zhou Buqing, was kneeling outside the house. Ning Shu quickly drank a mouthful of tea. If he wanted to kneel, so be it. The old servant beside him said to Ning Shu, "Old madam, young master has been kneeling outside for so long. Young master's body is weak." Ning Shu replied with an "oh," and applied the refreshing ointment on her temples. His body was weak. Didn't he already like it? "I'm hungry. Get me something to eat. If the enemy doesn't move, I'll move. Now I have to fill my stomach." This body was over 40 years old. No matter how well it was maintained, it was still a little difficult. She couldn't be angry. If she was angry, it would be easy to mess up the rhythm. Besides, these pig trotters had nothing to do with her. Her heart didn't ache at all when he knelt. The old servant nodded repeatedly and asked, "Old madam, I'll prepare some clear water for you." "Okay, add a fried egg." The old servant was speechless. Although she was very happy when her master said that she wanted to eat, she felt that adding a fried egg as if nothing had happened. Why did it feel so? The old servant walked out of the room and saw the eldest young master kneeling on the green stone slab. Her heart ached a little. Not far away, Wanxin was looking over anxiously. The old servant rolled her eyes. The eldest young master had broken off the engagement because of her. Now, the old master and madam were furious. The old servant walked through the corridor of the house and went to the kitchen to ask the kitchen maid to make something to eat. She emphasized that she wanted to add a fried egg. Not long after, the old servant returned with a bowl of clear water. There was a fried egg on top of it, and a few green onions were floating on top of the soup. Ning Shu grumbled. He was really hungry. Ning Shu slowly ate the noodles. The old servant couldn't help but say, "Young master is kneeling outside. The sun is so hot, don't burn him." Ning Shu made an "oh" sound and asked, "How is master doing?" "The doctor is looking at him again. It's a heart attack. Master will wake up soon. I'll go see Master after eating. Ning Shu swallowed a mouthful of noodles and then took a bite of the fried egg. It was simple, but the taste was quite good. I like it. After finishing his meal, Ning Shu rinsed his mouth and tidied up his clothes. He walked out of the house and saw Zhou Buqing kneeling at the bottom of the stairs. Among the three brothers of the Zhou family, the eldest was mature and steady. The second brother was the overbearing president of the Republic of China. He was passionate and aggressive. The second brother should be Wanxin's favorite. Women loved bad men. The second brother was the boldest. He was passionate enough to melt people. Women were afraid of pestering men. The third brother was naughty and playful. It was fun to be with him. He would think of ways to make you happy. You felt safe with the eldest brother. With the second brother, you could fall in love every day. With the third brother, you could be pure and happy. Zhou Buqing called out to his mother. Ning Shu rolled her eyes seductively and snorted. She fixed her hair bun and sashayed away to see old Master Zhou. Master Zhou's face was red and purple. It was obvious that he was suffering from a heart attack. The doctor was giving Master Zhou acupuncture. Ning Shu asked the doctor and servants to take good care of him. At least he didn't have to worry about food and drink in this world. Ning Shu went back to his room and saw Wanxin kneeling beside Zhou Buqing. The two of them were kneeling side by side. Madam, this is all my fault. Please don't blame Buqing. Ning Shu looked at Wanxin. Her eyes were as bright as water and full of affection. She was kind and pitiful. She looked very tough. Tough. Ning Shu seemed to have seen a lot of girls like this. They were not necessarily the most beautiful, but they must have a pair of very beautiful eyes. Even if they didn't have very beautiful eyes, their bitter faces must be very pitiful. They must not be gorgeous. They must be delicate and pretty. They must look very pure. They must be cultured. If they didn't fall into prostitution, then they must be artistic women. They must be the daughter of a noble family or the daughter of a rich family. They must have a delicate face, a slender and pure figure, and a pitiful look in their eyes. They looked very pure and innocent. She would suddenly stab you and say, "Love is no choice. Life is not up to you." Running away from home and eloping were expressions of true love. Parents were vicious. They were full of power, equal social status, money, and secular ideas. They were backward, feudal, and had no human rights. Their methods were cruel, cold-blooded, violent, and unreasonable. My parents didn't really love me. They didn't consider my feelings at all. I simply couldn't breathe. I want to run away with you far away. We will go to the ends of the earth together. We will go to a dreamy place with beautiful mountains and clear waters to continue our love. We have done our best for our parents and family. We want freedom. Ning Shu nodded. It is indeed your fault. You can just choose one of these three men to marry. Wanxin's face was twisted into a ball. She looked so bitter that people couldn't bear to force her. Zhou Buqing walked a few steps on his knees. Ning Shu felt his knees hurt just by looking at him. Mother, this has nothing to do with Wanxin. I don't like the daughter of the Song family. If I don't break off the engagement, it will be unfair to me and the daughter of the Song family, Zhou Buqing said word by word. Although he looked anxious, his tone was calm. His voice was powerful, mature, and steady. The three men each had their own attractive points. Wanxin herself admitted that she had been merciful to all three of them. The three of them each have their own good points, and they each have their own attraction to me. I think I have feelings for all three of them. Maybe my feelings for Chu Yu, the second son, are the strongest, but Buqing, the eldest son, is deeply in love with me, and Rong Xian, the third son, and I are childhood sweethearts. It's hard for me to give them up. So God is teasing me. He made three such good people fall in love with me, but he made me lose myself in my own feelings. Ning Shu's mouth twitched. A man who was never content was like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. She wanted all three of them? No one accused her of being greedy. Such a girl was synonymous with delicate and pitiful. It was also a little intoxicating. Now, she was a proper scumbag and a green tea bitch. Ning Shu said to Zhou Buqing, Call the second son and the third son over. I have something to say. Zhou Buqing looked a little uneasy and asked, Mother, what do you want to say? Chapter 3499. Zhou Bo also knew that he was in the wrong. It wasn't good for the family to break off the engagement like this, but if he didn't do anything, he would definitely regret it in the future. Now that he saw that his mother seemed angry, but her face was expressionless, Zhou Buqing felt a little uneasy. He wasn't afraid of anything, but he was a little afraid that his parents would blame Wanxin. Ning Shu said directly, I told you to call her over, so just call her over. Why are you talking so much? Zhou Buqing stood up and was about to pull up Wanxin, who was kneeling beside him. Ning Shu glanced at him and said coldly, Wanxin keeps saying that it's her fault that you broke off the engagement. Since it's her fault, then kneel for a while longer. Wait until you call Zhou Bo and Zhou Bo over. Zhou Buqing immediately said, It's not Wanxin's fault. It's my fault really. Wanxin immediately said, It's not like that. It's my fault. Buqing, you didn't do anything wrong. Zhou Buqing said, It's not your fault. It's my decision to break off the engagement. It has nothing to do with you. Why are you taking the blame? Wanxin teared up. It's really my fault. Really? Zhou Buqing said, No. Wanxin said, Yes. Zhou Buqing said, No. Ning Shu looked at the two with a cold face and said, What are you arguing about? You're making my head hurt. Boss, the more you talk, the longer she kneels. She already said that it's her fault. She's willing to kneel to atone for her sins. Hurry up and call her over. If you keep arguing, she'll keep kneeling. Wanxin hurriedly said to Zhou Buqing, Buqing, hurry up. I'm fine. Zhou Buqing had no choice but to leave, leaving Wanxin kneeling. Ning Shu drank tea and looked at Wanxin kneeling at the bottom of the steps. The scorching sun was shining in the sky. It was at least 35 degrees. It was very hot. Wanxin was sold to the Zhou family as a child bride to ward off bad luck. However, the two elders of the Zhou family both treated Wanxin as their own daughter. She had a maid to serve her and was spoiled. Now that she was kneeling in the sun, she couldn't take it anymore. However, without Ning Shu's order, she didn't dare to get up. Wanxin's mind was very sensitive. She more or less felt sad and uncomfortable about her life and fate. The maidservant beside Wanxin was anxious to death, but there was nothing she could do. She kept looking around, hoping that the young master would come quickly. Soon, Zhou Buqing came over with second brother and third brother. Second brother Zhou Qiu saw Wanxin kneeling on the ground and quickly walked over. He grabbed Wanxin's arm and pulled her up. Why are you kneeling? Get up. Are you stupid? Can't you see such a big sun? Wanxin was a little timid. She carefully glanced at Ning Shu. Zhou Rongxuan immediately bent down and reached out to pat the dust off Wanxin's knees. The eldest son was mature and steady, but he also had a lot of concerns. The second son was overbearing and direct. In this kind of situation, he directly pulled her up. The third son didn't put on any airs at all. He even patted Wanxin's dust and asked her if her knee hurt. His personality could be seen at a glance. Eldest brother Zhou Buqing saw that Wanxin's face was red from the sun. He said to Ning Shu, Mother, they are here. Let's talk in the room. Ning Shu took a sip of tea and put down the teacup. He nodded and said, Okay, let's go. The four of them looked at each other. Second brother Zhou Qiu asked directly, Mother, where are we going? Ning Shu looked surprised and said, Your father is in a coma now. As his children, shouldn't you be by his bedside? Where do you think we should go? The three sons were stunned. Eldest brother's face showed guilt. This is my fault. He fainted because of my father. Hearing that they were going to see their father, the three sons didn't refuse. Third brother was very concerned and asked if their father was okay. Wanxin said, Madam, I'll go too. I treat Master as my biological father. Ning Shu only made a sound of acknowledgement and brought the four of them to Lord Zhou's room. Lord Zhou's complexion was much better, at least it wasn't as swollen as before. Eldest brother looked guilty. He didn't expect his parents to have such a big reaction to him breaking off the engagement. Ning Shu said, Let's go to the side room. I have something to tell you. Wanxin, come with us. The four of them looked at Ning Shu's serious expression and felt a little nervous. They felt that they were about to face an important matter in their lives. Wanxin walked at the back. She didn't know why, but she felt that her legs were a little weak. Something was going to happen that made it difficult for her to make a decision. Ning Shu sat down and glanced at the four faces one by one. He said, "There is no way to continue the engagement with the Song family. The friendship between the two families for more than 10 years is just like this. Things have happened. It's like spilled water. It can't be taken back." Zhou Bucheng breathed a sigh of relief. "Thank you, mother. I will never make you and father angry again. Without the Zhou family, I will find a way to open up other business channels." Ning Shu chuckled in his heart. It was too early to be grateful. What she was going to say next would make him angry. Ning Shu coughed and focused his eyes on Wanxin. He said, "You are all grown up. It's time to start a family. Start a family first." Third brother immediately said, "Mother, I'm still young. My brothers haven't gotten married yet. How can I get married? Wait until my brothers get married. We'll talk about me." Ning Shu played with the jade bracelet on his wrist. He looked at Wanxin and said, "Wanxin is the child bride of the Zhou family. The three of you grew up together. There must be some feelings between you. As for me, I've always treated Wanxin as my biological daughter. You can pick any of the three sons. Pick one and get married. It's good for everyone. What's the point of hanging on like this? Can you get money or candy by hanging on like this? Is it fun to make everyone suffer? Pick one," Ning Shu said as he looked at Wanxin. Wanxin's face, which was originally red from the sun, turned white in an instant. It was as white as paper. Ning Shu admired her ability to change her face so casually. The three men also focused their eyes on Wanxin. Even the overbearing second brother was looking at Wanxin nervously and expectantly. He hoped that Wanxin would choose him. Wanxin was Big Brother's child bride in name, but at the time, Big Brother was so sick that he couldn't go to fetch the bride. It was him and his mother who went to fetch the bride. In that case, Wanxin was actually also his bride. The three men's passionate and expectant eyes made Wanxin's heart tremble. Her heart was torn into many pieces. These three men were very important to her. No matter who she chose, she would definitely hurt the other two. Wanxin knelt down with a thud. Her eyes were filled with tears. She said to Ning Shu as if she was crying, "Madam, from the moment I entered the Zhou family, I grew up with the three young masters. In my heart, the three young masters are all equally important. I can't bear to hurt them all. Madam, I don't want to hurt any of them." Chapter 3500. She couldn't bear to hurt one of them, so she wanted to hurt all three of them. Ning Shu was confused by this logic. What kind of logic was this? Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and said, "You mean you can't bear to hurt all three of them, so you want all three of them?" She liked all three of them, so there was no way to choose. It wasn't that Ning Shu was dark, but that it felt good to be surrounded and cared for. Choosing one meant losing the other two. In terms of quantity, this deal was not worth it at all, okay? Ning Shu's words were really shocking. Although the domestic intellectuals were pursuing freedom, equality, and romance, there was only one marriage. Since ancient times, there had only been one husband and one wife with many concubines. There had never been a woman who married more than one man, and at the same time to three men who were brothers? Although some places had the custom of sharing wives, it was very rare. It was not the mainstream value of society. Such a shameless thing, just thinking about it was shocking. Wanxin was stunned for a while before she panicked. She said with a face full of humiliation and grievance, "Madam, how can you say that? I never thought of it that way. Madam, you can't insult me like this." "I see. I thought you couldn't bear to let the three men care for you, so you kept them in suspense and made them worry about you. You even made the boss break off the engagement for you. Now that the Song family's girl has been broken off, she has lost her reputation, and people are gossiping behind her back." After the boss, Zhou Qinghua, got engaged, Wanxin often looked at Zhou Qinghua with teary eyes. Her eyes were full of affection, and she looked weak. Ning Shu felt that if he were a man, he would definitely think that this woman liked him. The boss was a little guilty and said, "I'm sorry for Miss Song, but it's better to end the pain quickly. If we really get married, it's a matter of a lifetime. I'm sorry for Miss Song." Ning Shu said, "Miss, why didn't you say before the engagement? Why didn't you insist at that time? Why did you have to make a fuss after the engagement? Don't tell me that you only completely understood your feelings after the engagement." Zhou Chenghua's expression was a little complicated, and he was a little guilty. "Mother, if I said that's what happened, would you believe me? Of course I do. Why wouldn't I? Why would I care? I don't care what's going on. Today, Wanxin must choose one. First, second, or third will do. She can choose one, and then the rest will slowly pick a wife. What's the point of staying by one woman every day?" Wanxin's expression was a little painful. Ning Shu kowtowed and said with a sad face, "Madam, please don't force me and the young masters." As Wanxin spoke, she looked at the three men. Her expression was painful, and she became more and more determined. Finally, she rushed out of the room. The three men involuntarily stepped forward to chase after her. Ning Shu slammed the table. "All of you stop right there. Go and guard your father. Also, think carefully. Which one of you wants to marry Wanxin? If none of you want to marry her, then I'll send Wanxin back to her uncle's house. Anyway, Wanxin is still a virgin. I'll just give her some dowry and let her find a new husband. Anyway, I won't treat her badly." The third son, Zhou Rongshuan, was the most outspoken. When he heard that his mother was going to send Wanxin away, he quickly said, "Mother, don't send her away. Wanxin's uncle and aunt are evil. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sold her to our family. Who knows what kind of torture she'll suffer when she goes back." Ning Shu snorted. "You think I don't know? That's why I want her to choose to marry alone and stay in the Zhou family." Ning Shu pretended to use a handkerchief to wipe the corners of his eyes. It looked like he was crying. "I watched Wanxin grow up. In my heart, I already treat her as my own daughter. What I do is a mother's heart. Why don't you understand? If Wanxin doesn't get married, what status will she have in this family? What will the Zhou family look at her with?" Sigh. Hearing Ning Shu's words, the three brothers' expressions relaxed. The way they looked at Ning Shu was also not so resistant. Ning Shu snorted in his heart. These people like to hear nice things. If you put on a straight face and said that it was for their own good, these brats wouldn't listen at all. Moreover, they would say that the parent was cruel and unreasonable. To deal with these people, one had to put on a sweet face and a bitter heart. One had to stand in their position and understand them. Then one could successfully lead them by the nose. Ning Shu let the three sons guard old Master Zhou and keep an eye on them. They were not allowed to run away. If nothing unexpected happened, Wanxin was preparing to hang herself. In order not to hurt the three men, Wanxin was prepared to sacrifice herself. However, she was saved by the third son. Now that the third son was being held by her, there was no way he could save her. Wanxin had to hang herself for a while longer. Without the third son to save her, it would probably be difficult. Before the third son arrived, she would probably be discovered. However, she definitely had to hang herself for a while longer. She didn't know if she would die from hanging. Even if she didn't die, she would have to suffer a little more. The three brothers were a little restless and kept looking at the door. Ning Shu coughed and said, "Give Wanxin some time to think it over. The more anxious you are, the greater the psychological pressure on Wanxin. The more difficult it is for her to make a choice. Let's wait for your father to wake up first." The three brothers restrained the anxiety on their faces and looked at old Master Zhou on the bed with concern. Ning Shu released his spiritual force and scanned the entire Zhou family. Watching the show, he felt a little like cigarettes, beer, mineral water, peanuts, melon seeds, and ate treasure porridge. However, the current situation was not suitable. According to the plot, Wanxin found a piece of silk and began to hang herself. Ning Shu curled his lips. Why didn't she find a rope and use good cloth? She used good things to hang herself. She was really spoiled. As a result, Wanxin was still sad all day, lamenting her fate. The price of this piece of hanging cloth was not low. Did she understand environmental protection? Wanxin shed tears and hung her neck on the cloth. Her face was beautiful and sad. She stepped on the ground. Wanxin began to struggle instinctively. Her hands clasped the rope. Her face began to turn blue. She breathed quickly and kicked her feet. Miss. Hua came in with a basin of water. When she saw her miss hanging, she was so scared that she dropped the basin and ran over to get Wanxin down. However, the little girl was weak. There was no way to get her down. Moreover, Wanxin was no longer struggling. Her tongue was out. Hua rolled and crawled. As she ran, she screamed, "Help, help, Mrs. hanging herself. Master." Hua stumbled into the house, tripped over the threshold, and fell to the ground. She lay on the ground and cried for help. "Miss is hanging herself. She's hanging herself." The three men ran out like a gust of wind. Ning Shu stood up, tidied up his clothes, and slowly walked over. Poor thing, hanging for so long. Chapter 35:01. When Ning Shu arrived at Wanxin's room, Wanxin had already been put down. Her eyes were closed, and her face was red and purple. Her chest was not moving up and down, and she looked like she was dead. Could it be that Wanxin had knelt down? Anyway, Ning Shu did not believe it. The three men were very anxious. They surrounded Wanxin and did not dare to touch her. They did not know what to do. Ning Shu was also very anxious. He asked the people around him to quickly call a doctor. She knew medicine, but she would not do it. She was the wife of a big family. How could she know medicine? Ning Shu shook his head and said with pity, "You're so young, yet you're degrading yourself like this. Isn't it good to live?" The three men were full of regret and worry. They all felt that it was because of them. It was because they had forced Wanxin too much that she had hanged herself. Looking at Wanxin lying on the bed unconscious, and even her breathing was very weak, they regretted it very much. The doctor was dragged over and took her pulse. At the same time, he asked the maid to hammer Wanxin's chest. This was cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Ning Shu watched from the side. He knew that Wanxin would not die because her heart was still beating weakly. She had not died. Wanxin looked weak and seemed like she could be blown away by a gust of wind. People could not help but want to protect and love her. However, her body was not weak. Life was still very tenacious and strong, like a little white flower fluttering in the wind. Not long after, Wanxin's eyelashes trembled and she woke up. Her eyes were full of confusion and mist. She looked very pitiful. In addition, there was a bruised red mark on her neck. This mark probably would not disappear for a long time. It really made people feel pity for her. Wanxin's eyes moved slowly. Looking at the people around the bed, she cried without saying anything. The three brothers surrounded the bed and asked about her well-being. The eldest brother frowned tightly and comforted Wanxin. The second brother directly threatened that if something like this happened again, he would not let Wanxin live well. The third brother kept anxiously asking Wanxin if she was in pain and if she wanted to drink water. Ning Shu squeezed in and sat by the bed, holding Wanxin's hand. "You child, why are you so stubborn? If you die like this, others will say that our Zhou family forced you to die, that it was the three sons of the Zhou family who forced you to die." Wanxin cried. Because she had hurt her neck, her voice was hoarse and unpleasant. "Madam, it's not like that. I never thought of doing anything to the Zhou family. It's just that Wanxin couldn't bear it. Wanxin didn't want to hurt anyone. Rather than this, it's better to end Wanxin's pain. Wanxin is grateful to Master, Madam, and young masters." Wanxin's words moved the three men. They couldn't help but call her Wanxin, and then they were speechless. Ning Shu couldn't help but want to roll his eyes. He was used to using this kind of crying, throwing a tantrum, and threatening to hang himself to threaten others to compromise. "Who cares if you die? Whether you die or not has nothing to do with me." The doctor asked the patient to have a good rest. The three men all had something on their minds. After coming out of Wanxin's room, they had been silent. No one spoke. Ning Shu looked at the three men and grabbed a handful of melon seeds. However, he put them back on the fruit plate. At such a serious time, it was really not suitable to eat melon seeds. Recently, his mouth was a little itchy. He always wanted to eat something. Otherwise, his mouth would be empty. Eating melon seeds while watching a play was the happiest thing in life. Ning Shu drank tea and asked, "Tell me, what should we do about this?" The eldest son, Zhou Buqing, said, "Mother, I don't think we should force Wanxin. Wanxin is a kind girl. The reason why she did such a thing is because she is too kind." Ning Shu felt a little nauseous. This body probably had a bad stomach. Zhou Buqing took a deep breath. With a plop, Ning Shu knelt down. "Mother, I want to leave for a while. I want to leave the Zhou family." This was within Ning Shu's expectations, but he still covered his heart and pretended to be shocked. "What did you say?" Zhou Buqing said, "Mother, I have already thought about this matter." Seeing Wanxin hanging herself and the deep mark on her neck, Zhou Buqing suddenly realized that instead of forcing Wanxin and making things difficult for her, it was better for him to let go and leave. Ning Shu just raised his eyebrows and said nothing. He just looked at him silently, which made the eldest son a little creeped out. The other two brothers looked at their older brother. Then they understood. Of course, they knew that their older brother left for Wanxin. Zhou Buqing looked at Ning Shu pleadingly. What could Ning Shu do? As a mother who loved her son, of course, she would do whatever her son said. Ning Shu nodded. "Okay, be careful on the road." Zhou Buqing was a little speechless. For a moment, he did not know what to say. The obstruction that he had expected did not exist. He had already expected that his mother would stop him and would not let him leave. However, the other party let him go directly. Why did he feel a little disappointed? This was not what he had imagined. Ning Shu said again, "Since the eldest son has left, then the second son can marry Wanxin." The eldest son, second son, and third son. "Mother, what are you doing?" Zhou Buqing suddenly felt that his mother wanted to drive him away and then let his younger brother marry Wanxin. His heart was really very strange. It made Zhou Buqing's face very sad. However, words that were said were like water that had been poured out. Moreover, if Wanxin really chose the second son, it would be very painful for him to stay at home. Zhou Chuyu said directly, "Mother, Wanxin has already hanged herself. You are still forcing her now. Are you only going to give up when someone dies?" "I will not marry Wanxin. I will not force Wanxin to make a choice. Mother, if you want to force me to marry Wanxin, then I will run away from home like Big Brother." Ning Shu, "Then what if I have to let you marry Wanxin today?" Zhou Chuyu straightened his neck. "Then I will leave home." Ning Shu took a deep breath. Really, the son has grown up and the mother has no choice. If you want to leave, then leave. Men should be ambitious. It's good to go out for a walk. Ning Shu was swift and decisive. With a few words, he drove his two sons out of the house. The packages were ready in a while. Ning Shu handed the two suitcases to his two sons. "I know I can't stop you. Instead of letting you resent me, it's better to let you go out for a walk." In the plot, her three sons had all left. She was just following the plot. The eldest son and second son. What was wrong with their mother? Under Ning Shu's urging, the two of them inexplicably arrived at the door. Then, inexplicably, a wine glass appeared in their hands. They looked at their mother in confusion as she pinched a pinch of soil on the ground and then sprinkled it into their glass. Ning Shu said, "I know I can't stop you, but when you are traveling in a foreign land, eat some soil at home. You will feel at ease. When the time is up, come back. Don't be greedy for thousands of taels of gold in a foreign land. Mother will wait for you to come back." Drink. Ning Shu looked at his two sons attentively. "Drink, sons." Chapter 3502. What kind of operation was this? Drinking wine with mud? On the phone. Why did it feel different from running away from home? It didn't feel like running away from home at all. Instead, it felt like being chased out. However, things had already come to this. They had already said that they would run away from home. If they went back on their words, wouldn't it be very embarrassing? However, thinking that Wanxin was forced to commit suicide, it was also a good thing to leave home. The two looked at the fine mud floating in the wineglass. Some of it sank to the bottom of the glass. It was really hard to drink. They closed their eyes and drank the wine. Then, they suddenly felt their teeth creak. The sand rubbed between their teeth, making them feel sore. It was uncomfortable. The two carried the box and left without looking back. The third son, Zhou Rongshuan, was in a daze. He couldn't react. How did his two brothers leave home in such a short time? Ning Shu waved her handkerchief, then wiped the corners of her eyes with it. She turned her head and said to Zhou Rongshuan, "Third son, your eldest brother and second brother have left. You can marry Wanxin now." Zhou Rongshuan was stunned and didn't react for a long time. He stammered, Mother, what are you talking about?" Ning Shu smiled slightly, revealing her white teeth. Together with her red lipstick, it was like a bloody mouth. She looked at Zhou Rongshuan lovingly. For some reason, Zhou Rongshuan looked at his mother and felt a chill down his spine. He asked, Mother, what's wrong with you?" Zhou Rongshuan swallowed as he spoke. Could it be that his mother was abnormal because of his eldest brother and second brother leaving? Ning Shu said, "There is only one Wanxin. Your eldest brother and second brother have both left. This way you can marry Wanxin. I know you also like Wanxin and are childhood sweethearts with her. Your eldest brother and second brother withdrew themselves. Now it's your turn to marry her. Son, are you happy? Are you happy?" Zhou Rongshuan, what happy? He wasn't happy. Hearing this news, the first thing that entered Zhou Rongshuan's mind was humiliation and displeasure. Not to mention whether Wanxin agreed to marry him or not, he couldn't let his two brothers down. Zhou Rongshuan said righteously to Ning Shu, "Mother, I will never marry Wanxin. Never." Ning Shu looked surprised and asked, "Don't you like Wanxin? Why don't you marry her? Don't you like her?" Zhou Rongshuan didn't hide his feelings. "Of course I like Wanxin, but I can't let big brother and second brother down." "Mother, you deliberately drove big brother and second brother away in order to let me marry Wanxin. Mother, how can you treat big brother and second brother like this? Aren't they your children?" Ning Shu was speechless. "Shut up, the three of you are not my children." Ning Shu's silence made Zhou Rongshuan feel that he had guessed correctly. He immediately expressed his position, which was very firm and resolute. "Mother, if you must force me to marry Wanxin, then I will also leave home." Ning Shu had been waiting for this sentence. He asked the servants to directly pack Zhou Rongshuan's luggage. After a while, someone came over with a leather suitcase. Ning Shu took the suitcase from the servant and stuffed it into Zhou Rongshuan's hands. "If you want to leave home, then leave. If you hang around in front of me every day, I can't help but urge you to get married. Go out for a walk like your brothers. Remember to come back early." Ning Shu squatted down and pinched a pinch of mud from the ground. He put it in a wine glass and handed the glass to Zhou Rongshuan, saying, "Drink. I'll wait for you to come back." Zhou Rongshuan was speechless. He suddenly understood why his brothers looked so confused. Anyway, Zhou Rongshuan also felt quite confused now. He felt like he had punched cotton. He had only resisted a little, but he hadn't made any fierce resistance. It was over just like that. The anger that he had just raised dissipated just like that. It felt so boring. Zhou Rongshuan actually felt a little regretful in his heart. It was his dream to marry Wanxin. It would be best if he could be with Wanxin. However, Zhou Rongshuan knew in his heart that Wanxin's feelings for his eldest brother and second brother were definitely deep. Words spoken were like water spilled. Now, even if he wanted to stay, he would be forced by his mother to marry Wanxin. The situation was not easy to deal with. Zhou Rongshuan now had mixed feelings. All kinds of emotions were rolling in his chest. Regret, discomfort, humiliation, and the fear of leaving home. He had never left home. Now that he had to face the outside world alone, his heart was uneasy. However, he had to bite the bullet and leave. Zhou Rongshuan also took the suitcase and left. His two brothers left without looking back. Zhou Rongshuan looked back from time to time. He didn't leave so decisively. Ning Shu patted the dust off his hands and closed the door. Without the three big pig trotters in front of him, he felt that the world had become beautiful. The three sons left home. The second son went to the battlefield and found a wife. The third son also found a wife. Only the eldest son went out and wandered around. He didn't find anyone. After going around in circles, he still found Wanxin and married Wanxin. Did this mean that his wife would be his wife after all? It was really unpleasant. Now that she didn't have 3 men to protect her, she could do whatever she wanted. She liked to run away from home. It was inconvenient with her 3 sons in front of her. The most important thing was that if she didn't go out, how could the second and third sons find wives? In the plot, the 3 sons ran away from home. Madame Zhou was so angry that she directly drove Wanxin away. Wanxin had no choice but to return to her uncle's house with her maid. Wanxin's uncle's son was also a rascal. When he saw that Wanxin was as beautiful as a flower and was driven out by the Zhou family, he became lustful and wanted to do something bad to Wanxin. How could a girl be a match for a man? It was just that the maid took the blame for Wanxin. The maid was defiled. The master and the maid escaped from their uncle's house and made a living by embroidering. Later, the maid got pregnant. The 2 women lived very hard. Later, they were found by Zhou Buqing. Naturally, the 2 of them got married. In addition, the second and third sons had their own lovers. Wanxin felt that she could marry the eldest son without any psychological burden. There were still some twists and turns in the story. Ning Shu wouldn't drive Wanxin out. Even if he drove her out, the one who suffered was someone else. Wanxin was a woman. Chastity was important. That maid suffered for Wanxin and even got pregnant. It was also quite miserable. Ning Shu felt that he was a kind person. How could he allow his beautiful maid to be defiled by a rascal? It was completely not worth it. A beautiful and kind girl couldn't be defiled. If he left Wanxin in the Zhou family, he could do whatever he wanted. The 3 sons ran far away. Who knew what happened at home? Even if he wanted to protect Wanxin, there was no way. She couldn't come back. Chapter 3503. No matter how pitiful Ren Wanxin was, no matter how pure and moving she was, the house was full of old people and women. Who cared how beautiful she was? 3 inches in the world throwing flirtatious glances at a blind man. I'll make sure that all of you are properly arranged and secure. Ning Shu was finally able to crack melon seeds. There was no one watching from the side. She needed to put on airs and accompany her 3 sons. She couldn't even do something as leisurely as cracking melon seeds. Old Master Zhou woke up. After hearing that his eldest son had broken off the engagement, he also heard that his 3 sons had run away from home. None of them were left. He almost fainted again. Ning Shu immediately advised Old Master Zhou that the 3 children had grown up and should go out and explore. Moreover, 3 men were circling around a woman. Who knew what kind of trouble would happen? At that time, the entire Zhou family would be finished. Let them go out and see the outside world. Their horizons would be broadened and they wouldn't be obsessed with the backyard. Maybe we can find a daughter-in-law for you when we go out. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Our Zhou family's children have the blessing of our ancestors. Old Master Zhou grabbed the edge of the table and barely didn't faint. He gasped for breath. He felt that he had fainted for a while, but why did it feel like he had fainted for a year? Old Master Zhou was a little chubby. His big belly trembled as he breathed. He said to Ning Shu, "You should have waited for me to wake up before talking about this. Why didn't you tell me that you chased the child away?" Ning Shu looked wronged. "Old Master, I didn't chase them away. They wanted to leave. I couldn't stop them. Moreover, I didn't know what would happen if they made a fuss. So I followed their wishes and let them leave. There's money in the box. They won't suffer. If there's no money, they will obediently come back." Old Master Zhou reluctantly agreed, but he still covered his head. My head hurts, my head hurts." As he spoke, he was helped to the bed. He lay on the bed and groaned. Suddenly, he thought of something and said to Ning Shu, "Since the 3 boys aren't willing to marry her, then the Zhou family doesn't need this daughter-in-law. When the time comes, don't make the Zhou family unrecognizable and become a joke." 3 brothers fighting over a wife, this was really a shameful thing. Old Master Zhou didn't want the Zhou family to become a joke in the eyes of others. Ning Shu nodded and said, "Okay, But in other people's eyes, she's the daughter-in-law of the Zhou family. If we kick her out and something happens, the Zhou family will be the ones to lose face. She would not drive Wanxin out. Even if she wanted to drive her out, she could not let her take the servant girl away. The servant girl belonged to the Zhou family. When Wanxin was sold to the Zhou family by her uncle's family, it was Lord Zhou and Madame Zhou who doted on Wanxin and gave her a maidservant to let her be like the eldest miss. However, it didn't mean that this maidservant was Wanxin's. When Wanxin left, she even took this servant girl with her. The two elders of the Zhou family were also furious. They hadn't thought of this. Moreover, Wanxin's cousin wasn't a good person. He wanted to taint Wanxin. Wan Xian was as pure as ice and as pure as jade. Of course, she could not be tarnished by others. At this time, the role of the maid came in handy. A maid had been defiled and even got pregnant. Lord Zhou was very angry. I can't drive her away, but I have to keep her at home. My heart hurts. Compared to his 3 sons, no matter how good Lord Zhou was to Wanxin, he was not his own son. Especially when his 3 sons had run away from home because of Wanxin. His impression of Wanxin was even worse. Ning Shu comforted him and asked the servants to bring the cooked porridge. Lord Zhou was hungry and went to eat. He put this matter aside for the time being. Ning Shu came to the outside of Wanxin's room. When the servant girl saw Ning Shu, she quickly pushed the door open. Ning Shu asked, "Wanxin is awake?" The servant girl said, "Madam, Miss is awake. She is lying on the bed crying and not speaking." Ning Shu nodded and walked to the bedside. He saw Wanxin lying on the bed. Tears flowed from the corners of her eyes and into her hair. Some tears flowed from the corners of her eyes and into her ears. Ning Shu really wanted to say that it was easy to get ear infections if she cried like this. Looking at her pitiful and fragile appearance, she was probably waiting for someone to comfort her. Ning Shu sat on the bedside and picked up the blanket to wipe the tears from the corners of Wanxin's eyes. Only then did Wanxin react. She turned her head to look at Ning Shu. "Madam." Ning Shu went straight to the point. "Because you were hanged, the 3 men all ran away from home." Wanxin was stunned and sat up. "What? Ran away from home?" She was hanged for a while and heard this news when she woke up. Ning Shu nodded. "That's right. Because you ran away from home." Wanxin immediately frowned. With a bitter face, she said bitterly, "Madam, why didn't you stop them? It's all my fault. It's all my fault." As she spoke, she covered her face and started crying. Ning Shu felt his ears itch. "It's your fault. You didn't want to choose one of them. 1, 2, and 3 all left dejectedly. They were afraid that you would hang yourself again." Wanxin was speechless. It wasn't like that. She didn't want to hurt them. How could it be like this? Ning Shu touched Wanxin's head and said, "Wanxin, you're already an adult. You have to learn to live hard. From tomorrow onwards, you can start embroidering. Remember that the Zhou family has an embroidery shop. Embroider well and sell it in the shop, okay? Also, Master is angry now. He said that it was because of you that the 3 of them ran away from home. He said some unpleasant things. Don't take it to heart." Wanxin was originally in the wrong. Seeing that he was so tolerant and considerate of her, Wanxin immediately agreed. She was afraid that she would be kicked out of the Zhou family. If she was kicked out, she wouldn't have anywhere to go. Wanxin was unwilling to go to her uncle's house. If it wasn't for her uncle's family, she wouldn't have been sold. Wanxin had always been self-pitying about her background. In the end, she was sold. Ning Shu grabbed the corner of the quilt and wiped her tears. "Don't cry. Wait for them to come back. They will definitely come back." "Thank you, madam." Wanxin stammered and thanked Ning Shu. Ning Shu smiled slightly. He was tolerant and magnanimous. He was so benevolent and great. "I've always treated you as my own daughter. No matter what, I'll always stand from a woman's point of view to understand you." Ning Shu felt that it was very interesting. He had to stand from his son's point of view and Wanxin's point of view. He had to integrate himself into this group of people. If you treat her well fiercely, she won't appreciate it. That sweet, tolerant, and magnanimous person will cheat you. Then don't cry. Get up and do something else, such as embroidering to divert your attention. You must not have any psychological burden. Men are ambitious. It's also good to go out and explore more. And maybe you'll meet a girl you like. This way, you won't be in a difficult position to choose between them. Wan Xin's expression suddenly became a little unpredictable. /BK. Chapter 3504. Ning Shu looked at Wan Xin's face. He knew that she was greedy. She did not want to choose. She was greedy for the feeling of being cared for. But none of the three men blamed her. It was probably because of her pure, innocent, and kind eyes. Wan Xin wanted to say something, but Ning Shu interrupted her. Are you okay now? Get up and walk. I'll give you the embroidery later. Wan Xin coughed. Her voice was hoarse. The marks on her neck were still there. She wanted to say that she wanted to rest, but she could not say it. Ning Shu said, By the way, didn't the master faint? Your maid will be transferred to the master's side to serve him. It might be inconvenient for you during this time. Wan Xen was stunned for a moment. She looked at Hong Yu beside her and was momentarily speechless. Wan Xin's expression was very surprised. It was beyond her expectations. She did not expect her maid to be transferred. In Wan Xin's heart, Hong Yu was her maid. It seemed that she would follow her for the rest of her life. She never thought that Hong Yu would leave one day. Hong Yu immediately knelt down. Ning Shu said, Madam, Hong Yu does not want to leave Mississippi, Hong Yu. Wan Xin looked at Hong Yu with tears in her eyes. She was very touched. Ning Shu almost rolled his eyes. It was not a matter of life and death. How did it become like this? To be precise, Hong Yu was a maid of the Zhou family. She was a servant of the Zhou family. How could she separate the master and servant? Ning Shu was still gentle and magnanimous. He said to the master and servant, Hong Yu is only temporarily going to serve the master. When the master is a little better, she can come back. The world is not peaceful now. I heard that there is going to be a war. The Zhou family's business is not good now, especially when the eldest son broke off the engagement with the daughter of the Song family. Now that the two families have stopped doing business, the Zhou family's situation is even worse. When the Song family was mentioned, Wan Xin felt inexplicably guilty. Naturally, she could not refuse. Wan Xin said to Hong Yu, you go take care of the master. Don't worry. You can come back soon. Since Wan Xin had said so, Hong Yu naturally couldn't say anything. Ning Shu felt that Hong Yu had probably stayed with Wan Xin for too long. Her brain was a little dull and abnormal. The Zhou family was her client. They were the ones who gave her monthly allowance. They were the Zhou family. He wanted to switch jobs, but in the end he made all sorts of excuses. If it was someone else who was the mistress of the household, they would be infuriated to death. They would directly order the servant girls to pack up and leave. After spending too much time with a retard, one would also become a retard. This disease seemed to be contagious. She had been bewitched by Wan Xin's sisterly sentiments all day long. If the sisterhood was truly deep, then why didn't Wan Xin serve Hong Yu? The two of them didn't sleep on the same bed. The Zhou family had servants' rooms, and Hong Yu slept on a shared bed. Ning Shu said a few words to Wan Xen and then left with Hong Yu. Wan Xin sat on the bed, alone in the empty room. She suddenly felt sad and desolate, as if she was the only one left in the world. The three brothers had left without any warning or expectation. Now, the servant girl beside her had also left. Ning Shu brought Hong Yu to Master Zhou's room and asked Hong Yu to do some things like serving tea and pouring water. Although Hong Yu was unhappy and didn't want to leave Wan Xin, she couldn't resist. She could only serve Master Zhou, even if she was unwilling. Ning Shu had nothing to do, so he asked the kitchen to stew some soup and make some delicious food. He ate happily. It was not in vain to arrange for these people. Whenever there was embroidery work in the embroidery shop, Ning Shu would ask the manager to send some embroidery to the Zhou family for Wan Xin to embroider. Of course, they also had to be paid. However, the wages were a little less than the embroiderers in the embroidery shop. Ning Shu felt sad all day long. If he didn't find something for Wan Xin to do, he would feel uncomfortable in his heart. The Zhou family had to bear the cost of food and drink. He also had to let Wanxin do something to make the best use of everything. In the name of finding something for her to do, so that she wouldn't think too much. Look, she was thinking for Wanxin. She was afraid that Wanxin would think too much and lose her neck. Wanxin didn't want to take the money and said to Ning Shu, "Madam, master is so good to me. It's not right for me to take the money." Ning Shu smiled slightly. "What a good child. If you want to eat something, just tell the cook. If you're tired, just take a rest. There's no hurry to do these work." The two of them held hands and looked at each other with tears in their eyes for a while. They were touched for a while. Then Ning Shu left, leaving Wanjun to face a large basket of embroidery alone. Wanxin sighed and began to embroider. She hid something in her heart. She thought about what the three men would encounter outside and who they would meet. Would it be like what Madame said, that they would meet a girl they liked? Chi! Wanxin was accidentally pricked by a needle and blood beads appeared. Wanxin quickly wiped the blood beads to prevent the blood from contaminating the embroidery. Ning Shu was quite comfortable as a wife. Every day she just ate, drank, went to the toilet and slept. Occasionally, other wives would come to play mahjong with her and then gossip. There were also some people who came to gossip about the Zhou family in the name of concern. The news that the three sons of the Zhou family ran away from home had already spread in the town. The Zhou family was also a well-known family in the town. It would be strange if there was no gossip about such a thing. Ning Shu directly declined these people's visits and closed the door to recuperate. This body was already in menopause. It was restless and prone to dreams. It was also prone to night sweats. It was very uncomfortable. Ning Shu had nothing to do, so he boiled some nourishing soup to drink. Ning Shu was living well, but Wanxin was not so well. There were so many embroidery waiting for her to do. Embroidery was a delicate work that required full attention. It was very tiring. She hurt her eyes and cervical vertebra. If she made a mistake, she had to do it again. Especially when Wanxin said that she didn't want to be paid. Now she was in a difficult position. She couldn't tell Ning Shu that she didn't want to do it anymore. She was so tired and didn't have any salary. She had no motivation at all. But she didn't want money. Anyway, Wanxin was very uncomfortable now. Seeing a room full of embroidery, she didn't want to do it at all. But she was urged to hand in the finished product. In short, Wanxin was mentally and physically tired. She couldn't sleep well at night. Even her eyes were a bit blurry. Wanxin had no choice but to find someone to help. At this time, Wanxin thought of her servant girl, Hongyu. Hongyu also knew how to embroider. It might be faster to ask her for help. Wanxin found Hongyu. Hongyu was preparing water for Lord Zhou to wash his face. She carried the copper basin to the room and saw Wanxin standing in the corridor, looking into the distance with a melancholy face. Hongyu hurried over and asked, "Miss, why are you here?" Wanxin turned her head and looked at the basin Hongyu was carrying. She said, "Hongyu, you've suffered." Wanxin looked at Hongyu lovingly and self-reproachfully. Chapter 3505. Wanxin felt that she was incompetent, so she let Hongyu suffer like this. "Hongyu, you've suffered." Hongyu shook her head and said, "It's nothing. I just did some ordinary things." To be honest, Hongyu felt a little confused. When she served Miss Wanxin, she also served tea and water. How could Miss Wanxin say that she suffered? Wanxin understood and said to Hongyu, "Hongyu, I'll tell Madam to ask you to come back." Hongyu frowned. After all, they had been master and servant for many years. She nodded and said, "Okay." Wanxin laughed. She grabbed Hongyu's hand and was about to take her to see Ning Shu. Hongyu was holding a basin of water in her hand. Seeing Wanxin so anxious, she said, "Miss, I have to send water to Master to wash his face." The Master was still waiting. If he was late, the Master would definitely be angry. As a servant, if she couldn't do these things well, she would definitely be kicked out. Wanxin suppressed her excitement and nodded to Hongyu. She said, "Then you go. I'll wait for you." Ning Shu released his spiritual force all the time. Every move of everyone in the Zhou family was under Ning Shu's eyes. Ning Shu expected that Wanxin would look for Hongyu. After all, there were so many things to do. Wan Xin couldn't force herself to die. She would definitely find someone to help her. He just didn't know what Hong Yu thought and whether she would go back with her. Ning Shu smeared oil on his hair. He wanted to maintain his hair black and shiny. He had to be beautiful. At this age, the mentality was the most important. He couldn't be in a bad mood because of some people. Ning Shu treated this task as a vacation. He had to eat and drink well. When the client came back and saw that he had become so beautiful, she would be in a good mood. He had food and clothes. Half of his life had passed. What should he do? When people died and entered the world of samsara, there was no way to worry about what would happen after that. Anyway, his 3 sons had their own places. Ning Shu had nothing to worry about. Anyway, he would find a wife, the eldest. Anyway, Ning Shu would never let the eldest be with Wan Xin. He had to eradicate Wan Xin, this disaster, and he couldn't destroy the relationship between mother and son. Even if he wanted to break up the couple, he had to do it secretly. Blatant opposition would only make them more united to unite against the outside world. The old servants around him said that Ning Shu was in a good state of mind now. He had become younger. Of course, he had nothing to worry about, so he was young. Worry was easy to age. Ning Shu tidied herself up inside and out, waiting for Wan Xin and Hong Yu to come to her door. And Wan Xin was still waiting, Wan Xin was still waiting, Wan Xin was still waiting, Wan Xin was still waiting. Wan Xin said to Hong Yu, "Are you ready? I'll take you to find Madam now." Hong Yu wanted to say something but hesitated. However, she still followed Wan Xin to Ning Shu's room. She whispered, "Miss, is this really okay? Madam sent me to serve Master. If I disturb Madam now, will Madam be unhappy?" She knew that she was just a servant, and Wan Xin was the daughter-in-law of the Zhou family. Although she didn't know whose daughter-in-law she was now, she was obviously more important than her. During this time, she left Hong Yu and served Master Zhou. She heard a lot more than before. Wherever there were people, there was gossip. The Zhou family gathered together to gossip when they had nothing to do. They gossiped about the master's family. During this time, everyone's gossip revolved around the 3 sons of the Zhou family and Wan Xin. There were all kinds of words. Some said that the 3 young masters ran away from home because none of them wanted to marry Wan Xin, so they ran away from home. Hong Yu sneered at such words. It was not like that. Miss Wan Xin didn't want to hurt others, so she hanged herself. She planned to sacrifice herself, otherwise the young masters would be embarrassed. But Hong Yu always felt strange in her heart. Some said that Wan Xin was fickle. She was the child bride of the eldest young master. She was the daughter-in-law of the eldest young master. In the end, she was with the 2nd young master and the 3rd young master. She seduced the 2nd young master and the 3rd young master. The servants were still very respectful to the master, so they couldn't say bad things about the 3 young masters. But they were not so polite to Wan Xin. Master Zhou and Madame Zhou were very good to Wan Xin. They were all bought into the Zhou family. Why could Master Zhou and Madame Zhou like Wan Xin? Many people were jealous. Moreover, the 3 young masters had left home. No one was protecting Wan Xin. Naturally, their words were much more unpleasant. Hong Yu couldn't refute these words. But the 3 young masters liked Miss, and Miss didn't want it. However, it seemed that Miss was the same to the 3 young masters. She was as shy and embarrassed as a woman who had fallen in love. Hong Yu's mind was in a mess. She followed Wan Xin and stood in front of the door of the master's wife's room. Looking at the hanging curtain, Hong Yu wanted to turn around and leave. But Miss Wan Xin had already spoken, and Madam had let them in. Hong Yu could only follow them in. Ning Shu sat on a chair surrounded by roses and casually peeled longan to eat. He asked casually, "Wan Xin, why are you looking for me?" Wan Xin knelt down with a thud. It was summer. She knelt down so firmly. Just hearing the sound of it was painful. Ning Shu's heart didn't waver, but he looked surprised. "Ah, why are you kneeling down? The floor is cold. Get up quickly." Of course, Wan Xin wouldn't get up. Seeing Wan Xin kneel down, Hong Yu had no choice but to kneel down too. But Hong Yu didn't kneel down directly. Instead, she slowly knelt down. Ning Shu took a sip of tea and ignored the 2 kneeling people. Wanxin hesitated and said, "Madam, can you let Hong Yu come back?" Ning Shu put down the teacup and asked, "What's wrong? Is the servant too tired and can't do it alone? Do you need someone to help you?" Hong Yu was speechless. Hong Yu's expression became a little strange. So Miss Wanxin had asked her to go back because of something. She was going back to ask her to help with something. In that case, it didn't matter where she stayed. Speaking of which, it was very easy to serve Master in his room. After doing what she needed to do, she still had time to wander around and play. Hong Yu also heard that Miss Wanxin had started embroidery recently. She heard that it was to help the Zhou family. Now that she was asked to go back, it must be to help with these things. Embroidery was a very tiring thing. If Hong Yu hadn't left and stayed by Wanxin's side, it would have been fine. She didn't have to serve Master Zhou, so she was willing to suffer with Wanxin. But it was different now. Following Master Zhou, she only had to serve tea and water, prepare things to wash up in the morning and evening, and the cook was in charge of eating. Her life was very relaxed. Chapter 3506. This little bed of friendship was about to be flipped over. When Ning Shu saw Hong Yu's expression, he wanted to laugh. Wanxin was a little speechless. She really didn't know how to respond. She didn't expect Ning Shu to be so direct. It made her seem like she had bad intentions now. She didn't want to find help, but she was worried that Hong Yu had been wronged by the master. In her heart, Hong Yu was like a sister. It was a little awkward now. Hong Yu must be unhappy. Wanxin glanced at Hong Yu and found that her expression was normal. Then she looked at Ning Shu with a little resentment. Ning Shu didn't seem to notice her complicated look at all. He said to Wanxin and Hong Yu, "I'm not an arbitrary person. This matter depends on Hong Yu. If Hong Yu wants to go back, then go back." Wanxin immediately looked at Hong Yu. Her eyes were full of expectation and happiness. She was happy that Hong Yu could go back with her. "Hong Yu, I'm a servant. I'll listen to the madam." Hong Yu didn't really want to go back now. She knew that Miss Wanxin was here to find a strong man to let her go back and help with embroidery. Hong Yu felt that her life now was very good and relaxed, especially when she didn't have to face Wanxin's bitter face. Wanxin loved to be sad and talk about some inexplicable things. It was hard and tiring to go back. However, Hong Yu couldn't refuse Wanxin directly. She could only kick the ball to Ning Shu. Wanxin looked at Hong Yu in disbelief. In her imagination, Hong Yu should be very happy and even cry in each other's arms. They could finally be reunited. However, Hong Yu's behavior was like a bucket of ice water poured directly on her. It was cold and made Wanxin feel betrayed. Wanxin's watery eyes seemed to be filled with tears. She looked at Hong Yu pitifully. Although there was no blame in her eyes, the lethality of her eyes was a little strong. Hong Yu turned her head to avoid Wanxin's eyes. Ning Shu laughed in his heart. How could Wanxin be so confident that Hong Yu would go back with her? It might not be easy to serve Wanxin. To be honest, old Master Zhou wasn't a meddlesome person. He was a man, so he usually went out to do business and socialize. Otherwise, he would go to the shop to run some errands. He would only be at home in the morning and at night. It was not difficult to serve Lord Zhou, but it was different when he was with Wanxin. Except for sleeping at night, he had to stay with her all the time. If he had nothing to do, he would ask him to run errands. It might not be easy. Ning Shu transferred Hong Yu away so that Hong Yu could enjoy a relaxed working environment. Once she enjoyed it, she was not willing to lose it. Wanxin didn't have many people around her. Besides, Ning Shu didn't want Hong Yu to be taken away by Wanxin and be defiled and pregnant. Wanxin, on the other hand, waited until Boss came back. If she married Boss, what would happen to Hong Yu? In the plot, it seemed that Wanxin's uncle's family came to propose marriage to Hong Yu. Marrying into such a family was no different from jumping into a fire pit. It was a convenient thing to do, and it also divided the master and servant. Ning Shu sat on the chair like the Guanyin Bodhisattva. He smiled as if he could save all living beings. "It's okay, Hong Yu. If you want to stay by Wanxin's side, you can. I'll send someone else to serve Lord. I thought about it carefully. You have a good relationship. It's not right to separate you like this. Hongyu, you'd better follow Wanxin. When Hongyu heard this, her expression changed. She hurriedly said, Madam, I'm willing to serve Lord. Since Madam wants me to serve Lord, I'm a servant. I should listen to Madam. Wanxin's tears flowed down. Now she was sure that Hongyu was unwilling to go back with her. Their relationship of so many years was gone. Wanxin didn't understand what happened. Hongyu was forced to speak her mind. She felt a little guilty in front of Wanxin. However, Hongyu was unwilling to sacrifice herself to return to Wanxin's side. With the same salary, of course, she would choose an easier job. Wanxin laughed bitterly. Her face was full of bitterness, but she still said, Hongyu will serve Lord well. Lord has been very kind to me. I'll take it as fulfilling filial piety for me. Hongyu, why did this sound so strange? Fulfilling filial piety for you? She was doing her job. Wanxin was actually flattering herself. She was doing her job. What did it have to do with Wanxin fulfilling filial piety? Of course, Wanxin only muttered these words in her heart. She didn't say it out loud. Ning Shu nodded. Since Hongyu wants to serve Lord, I'll find another servant for you. She still had to do some face work. When the 3 pig-trotters came back, they would say that she abused Wanxin. Of course, she couldn't guarantee the quality of this servant. Perhaps this maidservant was diligent and kind, or perhaps she was a gluttonous and lazy person. Wanxin shook her head and said to Ning Shu, There's no need, madam. The other servants aren't Hongyu. Ning Shu, Hongyu, it's better if you don't want it. If you don't want it, then go busy yourself. Alright, if you need anything, just tell me. You're my daughter, Ning Shu said kindly. The sweetest thing was that she said a few nice words, but she didn't do anything. Alright, I'll do as you say. If you don't want it, then don't. Wanxin got up from the ground and left the room after saying goodbye to Ning Shu. Hongyu breathed a sigh of relief and followed her out of the room. The two met at the door. Hongyu felt a little guilty and quickened her pace. Wanxin caught up with Hongyu and said, Hongyu, do you have any difficulties? Or were you forced by someone? Wanxin still didn't believe that Hongyu didn't want to go back with her. They had been together for so many years. How could Hongyu not be close to her overnight? No matter how she thought about it, it was impossible. There must be some difficulties. Hongyu, if you have any problems, tell me. I'll definitely help you solve it, Wanxin said as she held Hongyu's hand and looked at her sincerely. Hongyu, I don't have any difficulties, Miss Wanxin. I'm a servant. What I do is serve people. Hongyu pulled her hand out. No, in my heart you're not just a servant. You're also the person closest to me. I'll share my happy and unhappy things with you. In my heart, you're not a servant. Hongyu, but I'm just a servant. Miss Wanxin, I wasn't forced by anyone, and there's nothing difficult about it. I'm going to prepare the things. Goodbye, Miss Wanxin. Hongyu left, leaving Wanxin in a daze. Her heart was cold. When she returned to her room, she looked at the embroidery in the room. The various colored threads dazzled her eyes. Wanxin suddenly felt very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. She didn't want to do it at all. There were so many embroidery. How long would it take? Moreover, she was doing it for free. It was uncomfortable. Wanxin especially missed the person who ran away from home. Chapter 3508. As Wanxin embroidered, her tears fell. Her tears fell on the cloth, forming spots. Wanxin wiped her tears, but more and more tears flowed. She couldn't control them at all. In the end, Wanxin crawled on the bed and cried in a suppressed manner. Fat Lass looked at Wanxin curiously. She couldn't figure out why Wanxin was crying for no reason. Fat Lass's nerves were as thick as her body. She looked outside and saw that it was time for breakfast. Generally speaking, the servants could only eat after the master finished eating. It was time to eat. Fat Lass said to the sobbing Wanxin, Miss, what do you want to eat? I'll bring you food. When Wanxin heard this, she cried even harder. She felt terrible. She missed the 3 young masters. Wanxin ignored Fat Lass. Fat Lass saw that the miss was ignoring her and was afraid that there would be no food later. She ignored Wan Xin and went to eat. Fat Lass felt that Wan Xin was really crazy. It was already time to eat. Why didn't she eat? She felt terrible if she didn't eat. Fat Lass's figure was due to eating. When Fat Lass came back after eating, she saw that Wan Xin was embroidering again with tears on her face. Fat Lass asked, "Miss, are you hungry? Do you want to eat?" Wan Xin glanced at Fat Lass. Fat Lass's dark and fat face squeezed her eyes so much that they were small. She looked like this and still ate all day. What was wrong with her? Wan Xin couldn't bear to look at her. She shook her head and said, "I'm not hungry." Fat Lass nodded and stood aside. She took out a bun from her pocket and nibbled on it. Suddenly, the room was filled with the smell of vegetable buns. Wan Xin's tone was very heavy and contained anger. However, the thick-skinned Fat Lass couldn't feel it at all. She said okay and opened the door to sit on the steps at the door and nibbled on the bun. Wan Xin felt extremely stifled. One was sensitive, while the other was big-hearted and fat. Her nerves were as thick as steel. She completely understood the other party's thoughts. Fat Lass didn't know that Wan Xin was sulking. If Wan Xin didn't say it, Fat Lass wouldn't know. Even if she said it, Fat Lass wouldn't understand. She would even blame her for being angry and not eating. She could vomit people to death. Wasn't it infuriating? Not only did she not find a helper, but she also brought back such a person. He regretted looking for Madam. After Fat Lass finished eating the steamed buns, she burped and pushed the door open. Seeing Wan Xin in a daze, Fat Lass asked naively, "Miss, are you hungry?" "Wan Xian, I'm not hungry. Stay by my side and don't disturb me." If it was Hong Yu, perhaps he could still talk to her and relieve the worries in his heart. Hong Yu understood her thoughts. After being together for so many years, Hong Yu would understand whatever she said. With Hong Yu around, they could still chat while doing it. There was still some hope for their lives. But now, there was no hope at all. Even if she told Fat Lass what was on her mind, Fat Lass wouldn't understand. Moreover, seeing Fat Lass like this, she wasn't in the mood to chat with her, let alone talk about her thoughts. Just looking at it gave him a headache. Wan Xian's heart was as dead as ash. She threw down the embroidery in her hands and rubbed her eyes. Her eyes were sore and astringent. Her hands were also pricked with many needles. Fat Lass felt that there was something wrong with Miss Wan Xin. She didn't even eat. How could she have the strength if she didn't eat? She was so skinny that her face was only the size of a palm. A slap from her face was enough to make her fall to the ground. It was so uncomfortable. Wan Xian didn't like Fat Lass. Fat Lass also felt uncomfortable interacting with Wan Xin. Her whole body felt like a cat's claws, as if there were fleas crawling on her skin. It was uncomfortable. Usually, when she worked with others, they could even chat and eat melon seeds when they had nothing to do. It was relaxing and she could laugh. She let her work without hesitation. She didn't know what to do here at all. There was an uncomfortable atmosphere and aura around Miss Wan Xin. She looked delicate and pitiful, making people feel pity for her. But at the same time, it also made people feel bitter. It made people feel uncomfortable when they saw her. Fat Lass had heard the cook describe Miss Wan Xin before. She said that Wan Xin was a Yangzhou skinny horse. She didn't quite understand what Yangzhou skinny horse meant. However, the cook's smile was a little disdainful. She said that men like this. Even a drop of tear could make them look beautiful. Fat Lass didn't understand. Wasn't that good? It was a good thing that she could look good when she cried. Just like when she cried out loud. Why would she care if she looked good or not? The cook sneered. "Fat Lass, no man likes you. Fat Lass, you can go out. I'll call you if there's anything." Wan Xin saw Fat Lass standing there in a daze. She was like a wooden stake, and an ugly wooden stake. She was so fat that even her neck couldn't be seen. She really didn't want to see Fat Lass. Wan Xin suspected that Madame was deliberately disgusting her, but she heard that this maidservant was very strong and very capable. But embroidery wasn't something that required strength. It was uncomfortable. Fat Lass obediently went out and sat on the steps at the door. She took out a handful of pumpkin seeds from her pocket and slowly ate them. She looked into the room again and again. Previously, Madam had asked her to take good care of Miss Wanxin. Miss Wanxin had hanged herself before and almost died. Fat Lass suddenly understood that Madam had sent her here to protect Wanxin. At least Miss Wanxin was hanging. She had enough strength to carry Miss Wanxin down. Fat Lass couldn't understand. Why did Miss Wanxin want to commit suicide? She ate and drank well every day, wore silk and satin, and wore jewelry. Although the things she wore weren't as shiny as gold, she heard from the other maidservants that Miss Wanxin wore things that were more valuable than gold. She couldn't understand. She couldn't understand. Ning Shu was about to die of laughter. With such a combination, if there was tacit understanding it would be fine, but if there wasn't, it would be very painful. Fat Lass was the kind of person who could eat well and didn't think too much. She wasn't scheming and was straightforward. If there was anything, just tell her directly. She could do it very well. She was very willing to use her strength. But Wanxin's heart was hurt now. The three men had run away from home. Wanxin felt an unprecedented loneliness. Since she was young, the three of them were inseparable. They had never not contacted or seen each other for such a long time. Moreover, Wanxin was a young lady before and had never suffered like this. She worked like an ordinary person. Wanxin needed someone like Hong Yu who could help her relieve the pain in her heart. She was physically and mentally exhausted, and what Wanxin needed was someone like Hong Yu who could help her. But she just had to arrange an unromantic Fat Lass for her. She could make Wanxin explode. What was the benefit of being angry? She was the mistress of the house. She directly used a soft knife to deal with a person, and she even smiled and stabbed the soft knife so that the other party couldn't find her weakness. She felt uncomfortable and had to accept her kindness. It was as disgusting as eating shit. /BK. Chapter 3509. It was difficult for Wanxin and Fat Lass to get along with each other. Both of them felt that it was difficult to get along with each other. Fat Lass found Ning Shu and said that she was willing to do odd jobs. She couldn't serve Miss Wanxin. Ning Shu, of course, smiled and coaxed Fat Lass to go back. Fat Lass was stunned by Ning Shu's bewitching words. She patted her chest and said that she would take good care of Miss Wanxin. When Fat Lass went back, she suddenly woke up when she saw Wanxin's pitiful appearance, as if she would cry at any time. Miss Wanxin was delicate porcelain. She couldn't be touched. When Fat Lass faced Wanxin, she tiptoed and didn't dare to touch her. She was strong. If she touched Miss Wanxin, she might fall to the ground. When it was time to deliver the goods, Ning Shu took a few people to Wanxin's room. Wanxin's room looked a little messy. Threads of various colors were entangled and rolled into a ball. It was more messy than cutting them. All kinds of cloth were placed on the table. Wanxin was lying on the table and falling asleep. It seemed that she had stayed up all night embroidering. She couldn't stand it anymore, so she fell asleep on the table. Ning Shu tapped on the table with her fingers, making a tapping sound, which woke up Wanxin who was sleeping. Wanxin woke up and rubbed her eyes. When she saw Ning Shu, she immediately stood up and called out, "Madam." Recently, Wanxin hadn't rested well. She looked haggard and even had dark circles under her eyes. She used to look pitiful and listless, but now she looked listless. Ning Shu frowned tightly. "It's time to deliver the goods. How much have you embroidered?" Wanxin took out a few handkerchiefs. They were the results of Wanxin's work. Ning Shu took the handkerchiefs and glanced at them. They were sloppy. Some of the stitches were a little rough. It didn't look high-end at all. Wanxin looked at Ning Shu carefully. When she saw Ning Shu's frown, she raised her eyebrows and called out, "Madam." Ning Shu put down the handkerchief and said to Wanxin seriously, "This is your finished product. It's so little. The embroidery shop is still waiting for the goods." I'm sorry. Wanxin immediately apologized. "I didn't know. I'm sorry. Wanxin's expression was painful and guilty, making people unable to blame her. Sorry, Ning Shu wasn't in the mood to be protective of the fairer sex. Ning Shu was protective of beautiful and kind girls. But he wasn't in the mood for that at all. He would deal with Wanxin first. When the 3 pig trotters came back, he would train the 3 pig trotters. This was a matter involving 4 people. None of them should even think about escaping. Wanshin, if you can't do it on your own, you should tell me. Didn't I always tell you that you have to tell me if you have any questions? Do you know how much loss the embroidery shop will have to bear if you keep it to yourself and delay the construction period? Wanshin, I'm very disappointed in you. Ning Shu's face was full of disappointment. He sighed and looked at Wanshin. Wanshin's face turned red. Most importantly, there were so many people watching. She felt that her dignity had been trampled on. She was very uncomfortable. Sweat seeped out of her back. It was as uncomfortable as being pricked by needles. I'm sorry. Wanshin lowered her head and apologized. She was very upset with herself. At the same time, she had a feeling of resentment toward Ning Shu. She missed the 3 young masters even more. Ning Shu sighed. Wanshin, if you don't tell me, how would I know that you can't do it? You should tell me if you can't finish embroidering. But it's not bad that you can embroider these. Thank you, madam, but I still can't do it well. Wanshin sighed in relief. It's all because of me that the construction period was delayed. Ning Shu asked someone to take away the embroidered things and said to Wanshin, it seems that you can't embroider so much. Embroider less next time. Wanshin was speechless. Embroider more? She was already so tired from embroidering these. She still had to give so much more? Wanshin's lips moved. She wanted to say something, but her self-esteem made her unable to say anything. Ning Shu looked at Wanshin's constipated face and asked, is there anything else? Wanshin said, there's nothing else. Ning Shu nodded. Put these embroidered things in the embroidery shop. You can embroider the rest slowly. There's no rush, Ning Shu said to Wanshin. Wanshin was speechless. Ning Shu gave the embroidery to the embroiderer behind him and turned to leave. Wanshin called out to Ning Shu. Ning Shu looked back at her and asked, is there anything else? Wanshin looked at Fat Lass, who was standing beside her like a wooden stake, and said, Madam, can you transfer Hong Yu back to my side? Hong Yu can help me. We've always lived together. Fat Lass is very good, but I'm more familiar with Hong Yu. Wanshin really couldn't stand Fat Lass anymore. It was better not to have Fat Lass. At least there was no one in front of her. It was very uncomfortable. Ning Shu nodded without thinking. If Hong Yu is willing to come back with you, that's fine. If not, I won't force her. You can talk to her. She should be willing to come back. Ning Shu would never use her authority to ask Hong Yu to come back. If she insisted that Hong Yu come back, she would definitely come back. However, Ning Shu wouldn't do that. Wouldn't it be better if Hong Yu rejected Wanshin personally? Only then did Wan Xen reveal a smile, but this smile was bitter. Ning Shu said to Wanshin, regardless of whether Hong Yu comes back or not, Fat Lass can stay here first. If there's anything, she can run errands. Wanshin just nodded and sighed in her heart. Ning Shu left with his people. When they were far away, the embroiderer said to Ning Shu, are these things really going to be displayed in the embroidery shop? They're not qualified at all. Ning Shu's lips curled up crazily. Sell them. Sell them cheaply. Sell them as defective goods. They're embroidered by Wanshin. You can't hurt her enthusiasm, right? The embroiderer was speechless. She might as well not sell them. That would hurt her pride even more. The embroiderer said, Madam, I'll change some parts to make the embroidery look better. Thank you. Ning Shu nodded in agreement. Wanshin hurriedly went to find Hong Yu. Hong Yu was listening to the gossip. When she saw Wanshin's excited expression, she had a bad feeling. As expected, she pulled her to the side and asked her if she was willing to go back. Hong Yu was speechless. She didn't want to go back. Miss Wanshin was here to pull men. Hong Yu said, Miss, I have to take care of Master. I really can't go back with you. Wanshin grabbed Hong Yu's hand and said, you can go back if you want. Madam said that if you're willing to go back with me, she'll send someone else to take care of Master. Master will be taken care of. You don't have to worry. When Hong Yu heard this, a strong sense of danger rose in her heart. Thinking that her job was going to be taken by someone else, she felt very bad. /BK Chapter 35:10. If Hong Yu was just a small employee in the past, then now Hong Yu had become the chairman's secretary, taking care of the chairman's daily life. Please look at the most complete. She was a servant. It was not on the same level as serving Wanxin. Lord Zhou was easy to serve. As long as she did what he told her to do, there was nothing else. Usually she had a lot of free time. Sometimes, Lord Zhou would have some small trinkets outside and throw the worthless things to her. Even if it was a candy, it would be sweet to eat. Wanxin did not receive such treatment at all. She had to listen to Wanxin's melancholy. Now that the three young masters were not by her side, if she went back, Wanxin's daily topic would probably be where the three young masters were. Did they eat well and sleep well? Then, as she chatted, the atmosphere would fall into a kind of sadness that could not be controlled, as if the sky had fallen. Hong Yu had served Wanxin for a long time and understood what kind of person Wanxin was. The life of a young miss, she did not have to worry about food and drink. But the maids were different. They only thought about how to survive and live a better life. Hong Yu felt that if she did not completely refuse, Miss Wanxin would come to her again in the future, so she said, "Miss Wanxin, I'm willing to serve Lord. Don't you already have a maid by your side? It's not good for me to go. Even Madam doesn't have two maids by her side. It's not appropriate for me to go back." Wanxin immediately said, "It's okay. As long as you go back, Fat Lass will leave." Hong Yu was speechless. It was really difficult to communicate. Didn't she already refuse very clearly? Hong Yu felt that she should be more direct. "Miss, I can't go back and I don't want to go back. Miss, don't come to me in the future. I'm going to prepare things for Lord." Hong Yu turned and left. Looking at her back, she seemed to be fleeing in a panic. Wanxin was stunned. Crystal clear tears welled up in her eyes. She wiped them with a handkerchief and returned to her room weakly. Seeing Fat Lass sitting on the steps and eating melon seeds, Wanxin's heart suddenly surged with an indescribable despair. This despair tightly wrapped around her. It was uncomfortable and oppressive. Fat Lass immediately stood up. Seeing Wanxin's pale face, she quickly asked, "Miss, are you okay?" Wanxin waved Fat Lass's hand away. "I'm fine. Don't disturb me." When Wanxin returned to her room, she picked up her embroidery and continued to embroider. As she embroidered, she cried. Fat Lass saw Wanxin like this through the crack in the door and was very puzzled. How could she spoil herself like this? Miss Wanxin had not eaten for 2 meals. Could her small body do it? She would miss it if she missed a meal. Immediately after, a hoarse scream came from the room. Fat Lass was shocked. She peeked through the crack in the door and saw Miss Wanxin throwing everything to the ground and even stomping on it. Her expression was a little ferocious and a little scary. She looked very desperate. In the end, she squatted on the ground, buried her face between her legs, and began to cry. Fat Lass was speechless. Is Miss Wanxin crazy? Should he tell Madam about it? Fat Lass ran over and told Ning Shu about Wanxin's situation. She already knew about Wanxin's situation. Her every move was under her nose. It was normal for Wanxin to break down. Without 3 men who loved and protected her by her side, the world had become much more difficult. No one cared about her when she was wronged, and she had to work hard to embroider. Because of her self-esteem, she did not even want to be paid. Also, because of her self-esteem, she could not say that she did not want to do it. Wanxin kept saying that the Zhou family had done her a great favor. If she refused to work, she would definitely be called ungrateful. Therefore, Wanxin had to do it for her reputation. But she really had no motivation, no money, and no people. The servant girl who had been by her side for so many years was not willing to follow her. She was afraid that she would suffer with her. Under so much psychological pressure, it was not strange for Wanxin to act like this. Ning Shu just went back to let Fat Lass take good care of Wanxin. Fat Lass hesitated for a moment and said to Ning Shu, "Madam, do you want to stop letting Miss Wanxin embroider? Look at her." Although Fat Lass did not get along very well with Wanxin, she still unintentionally said what Wanxin wanted to say the most. Ning Shu looked at Fat Lass with pity and kindness and said, "You also know that the 3 young masters have run away from home. Wanxin must feel that this is her fault. It's easy for people to think too much when they have nothing to do. It's easy. I'm asking her to do something so that she won't think too much. It's not important whether she does more or less. The key is that she has something to do. Fat Lass suddenly understood. She looked at Ning Shu with stars in her eyes. Madam, you're so good to Miss Wanxin. Ning Shu nodded shamelessly. Of course. I've always treated Miss Wanxin as my own daughter. She came to the Zhou family at such a young age. Of course, I'll favor her more. Fat Lass nodded repeatedly. When she went back, she picked up all the things on the ground for Wanxin and patted away all the dust. Fat Lass said to Wanxin, Miss, if you're sad, embroider more. She would not think too much when she was doing things. Wanxin was speechless. Are you here to supervise my work? Are you madam? Are you the mistress of the house? Wanxin held her anger in her heart and was about to explode. She disliked Fat Lass even more. Fat Lass was even more baffled. She put the basket on the table. Then miss, I'll go out. Wanxin looked at the scissors in the basket and took a deep breath. She picked up the scissors. Outside the door, Fat Lass heard a scream. She pushed the door open and saw that Miss Wanxin's hand was bleeding. She quickly covered it with a handkerchief and asked, Miss, what's wrong? I didn't pay attention and cut my hand, Wanxin said. Then I'll go find Madam. Fat Lass hurriedly ran to find Ning Shu and quickly ran back. She said to Wanxin, Miss, don't be afraid. Madam's horse is here. Doctor's horse is also here. Seeing that Fat Lass was sweating profusely and her tanned face was shiny, Wanxin's heart was slightly relieved. Although she was a little stupid, she had a good heart. Ning Shu came with the doctor. When Wanxin saw Ning Shu, she immediately felt guilty. Madam, I'm sorry. I accidentally hurt my hand. I can't do embroidery anymore. Ning Shu was very kind. It doesn't matter. Your health is important. Embroidery can be done at any time. The most important thing is the hand. The cut is deep. It won't look good if it leaves a scar. The hand is a woman's second face. You must take good care of it. Ning Shu asked the doctor to take a look at her. The wound was not small. It was deep, but the bone was not visible. It looked a little scary. The doctor prescribed some medicine and told her to apply it and not to touch water. Ning Shu wanted to laugh. She would rather hurt herself than say that she did not want to do it. She was burdened by her reputation. /BK Chapter 35:11. Wanxin's hand was injured and she couldn't do anything. Embroidery had to be put aside. On the phone, an Exon felt very guilty and apologized to Ning Shu again and again. Ning Shu said that it didn't matter. They could do it after the injury healed. Health was important. During the time that Wanxin was recuperating, Ning Shu was very concerned about Wanxin. He gave her all kinds of things, all kinds of tonics, and went to Wanxin's room to ask about her well-being. Ning Shu's pretentious actions made her benevolent care more and more dazzling. Now, when the servants talked about Ning Shu, he was like the reincarnation of a saint. He was a very good person. Wanxin's injury kept reacting. The doctor said that it shouldn't touch water. Now that the wound touched water, it was a little infected. Ning Shu certainly knew that Wanxin touched water herself. It wasn't good to pretend to be ignorant. He called Fat Lass over and told her to take good care of Wanxin and not touch water. Wanxin felt very guilty and said that it was all her fault. Ning Shu was speechless, but he still kindly told Wanxin not to worry. Health was more important. Wanxin had been recuperating for a long time with such a small wound, so the wound kept getting infected. She probably regretted that she couldn't bear to see it and let her injury heal. Ning Shu was very happy. He clasped his hands in front of Wanxin and chanted, Amitabha. He thanked the heavens that she was finally fine. Ning Shu said, You must be careful in the future. Don't be so reckless. Wanxin looked at the basket and her expression darkened. She thought for a while and said to Ning Shu, Madam, I want to go home. Ning Shu was surprised and asked, Isn't your family already gone? Do you want to go back to your uncle's house? Wanxin's parents were gone. When she was young, she lived with her uncle's family. Later, Her uncle sold her to the Zhou family to be a child bride. Now, Wanxin actually wanted to go back. Wanxin nodded. Yes, I haven't gone back for a long time. I want to go back and see my uncle and aunt. Ning Shu was speechless. He couldn't figure out what Wanxin was thinking. In order to avoid embroidery, she actually wanted to go back. Was it that difficult to say that he didn't want to do it? Was it that hard for him to swallow his pride? This was a classic case of wanting to save face at all costs. Ning Shu shook his head. Wanxin, I don't agree with you going back. Wanxin suddenly became anxious and quickly said, Madam, please agree. I really want to go back and have a look. I haven't gone back even once in so many years. Ning Shu was speechless. In the past, when she was living well in the Zhou family, she had never thought of going back. Now, she wanted to go back. Moreover, Wanxin's uncle's family wasn't evil, but they weren't kind-hearted either. Especially Wanxin's cousin, he would do something to hurt Wanxin. In the plot, Madame Zhou chased Wanxin away. Wanxin had no choice but to go back. After encountering her cousin, she ran away from her uncle's house. Now, Wanxin actually wanted to throw herself into the trap. Moreover, Hongyu was not with her this time. With Hongyu to block the disaster for her, with Wanxin's small body, something would definitely happen. Wanxin was so anxious that sweat appeared on the tip of her nose. Madam, I beg you. You want to go back and see your family? Ning Shu said. Wanxin, it's not that I don't want you to go back, but you haven't gone back for so many years. Do you know what kind of character your family is now? The world is so difficult now. I heard that there's a war again. You're a little girl running away now. If something happens, how are you going to explain it to first brother, second brother, and third brother? Be good, be obedient. Anyway, Ning Shu had said everything that needed to be said. Wanxin's tears flowed down as she begged Ning Shu. Madam, I beg you. Wanxin really wants you to go back and see them. Wanxin's heart was really depressed. The three young masters had run away from home. Wanxin's position in the Zhou family was actually a little awkward. It wasn't that she didn't hear the gossip between the servants. There was no outlet for her emotions in the Zhou family. Everyone said that Madame was very good to her and treated her like her own daughter. But Wanxin felt very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Her heart was very depressed. Wanxin couldn't help but feel sad and resentful. The three men were too cruel. They left just like that. No one even came to see her before they left. Living in the Zhou family was very uncomfortable. Wanxin thought of her former family. Ning Shu shook his head and rejected Wanxin directly. No, you can't go back. Madam. Wanxin felt terrible and tears fell down. Madam, please take pity on me. Let me go back and see my family. Ning Shu said expressionlessly, Wanxin, you're a member of the Zhou family now. Can't I even see my family? Wanxin said sadly. Ning Shu said, do you know how dangerous it is? After so many years, your cousin has grown up. Can't you be sure that your cousin won't do anything to you when you go back? Wanxin shook her head. I believe that my cousin won't do anything to me. He's not that kind of person. Ning Shu, do you have to go back? Ning Shu looked at Wanxin. Wanxin was a little scared by Ning Shu's gaze. She lowered her head and said softly, Madam, I really want to go home and visit my family. Ning Shu was silent for a while. Then how about this? Since you want to go back, then go back. Go to the accounting room and get some money. Buy some things and go back. Wanxin was very surprised and quickly said, Thank you, madam. Thank you. Wanxin was so excited that she was about to cry. Ning Shu turned and left. Wanxin started to pack her things and went to the accounting room to get some money. She would buy shoes for her uncle and a bolt of cloth for her aunt. As for her cousin, let's talk about it later. Fat Lass saw that Miss Wanxin was finally a little angry. She didn't look like she was half dead like before. She asked, Miss, do you want me to go back with you? Wanxin looked at Fat Lass and shook her head. No, I can go back by myself. If Fat Lass looked like this, she wouldn't look good if she brought her back. Didn't they say that the maids of big families were all well-dressed and clean? Why did Fat Lass look like she was working in the fields? She was tall and sturdy, and her skin was dark. Fat Lass said, "Miss, Madam asked me to stay by your side. If you encounter any danger or a lecher, I am strong and can chase them away for you." Wan Xin still rejected Fat Lass. Although Fat Lass was stupid, she wasn't stubborn. If Wan Xin didn't want to, she might as well eat melon seeds at this time. When could she go back? She didn't want to stay by Miss Wan Xin's side and serve her. Wan Xin packed her things as fast as she could and left the Zhou family. When she left, her steps were light and her mood was very relaxed. Ning Shu thought about it and let Fat Lass go with Wan Xin. If she really couldn't, she could bring a servant. There were thousands of ways to torture Wan Xin. This was not one of them. Moreover, when the 3 big pig trotters came back, they would definitely blame her. It was wrong to blame her for what happened to Wan Xin. /BK, you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.